Chapter 3365. What does that have to do with the blessing? Lin Yi didn't expect Yu Ning to be a prophet. Was she talented in this area? Lin Yi would believe it if Yu Shu was a prophet. After all, many of her prophecies had come true. Yes, prophet masters have their own innate talent. However, it's just a feeling. They can't specifically predict something. However, that tantric sect expert could activate the innate talent in Xiaoning's body through enlightenment. This is something that can't be achieved through cultivation. Therefore, he could only choose enlightenment to increase his strength. Yu Yuxing said, "Of course, it doesn't mean that the strength from the blessing can't reach heavenly Tao. This is all unknown, so I hope that young hero Lin can agree to this request. Haha, this request isn't too much. I have no reason to reject it." Lin Yi shook his head. Yu Ning's situation was similar to the women and followers around Lin Yi. Lin Yi would eventually find a way to solve this problem. Yu Ning alone was not enough. These were the side effects of Lin Yi's leveling up, so it had to be solved. Ah! I didn't expect young hero Lin to be so open-minded. I'm relieved. You agree to let Ning go to Endless West Sea? Yu Yuxing quickly asked. Yes, I agree. Lin Yi nodded and his face turned serious. Next, are we going to talk about Shu? I heard that her parents were imprisoned by you guys. And you forced her to do something she didn't want to do. Like assassinating me. I can let bygones be bygones, but can you let her parents go? Shu. Yu Yuxing sighed as he said this. His face looked lonely and guilty. Achem. Lin Yi frowned when he heard Yu Yuxing say Shu. Yu Yuxing, you don't want to let them go? Lin Yi called Elder Yu by his name. This showed how angry he was. Ever since he found out about Shu's tragic life, he sympathized with her. Lin Yi kept it in mind, waiting for the right opportunity to make things clear to House Yu. This invitation from House Yu was undoubtedly a good opportunity. From Lin Yi's perspective, Yu Yuxing wouldn't reject it with his current strength. He didn't expect Yu Yuxing to be so hesitant. This made Lin Yi furious. Before we talk about that, there's something I don't want to hide anymore. I've been hiding it for too long, and I've been under a lot of pressure. All these years, other than Yu Yi and Chen, no one else from House Yu knows about this, including Xiaoning herself. Yu Yuxing's tone was heavy, but today, I'll tell you everything. I hope that you'll understand my difficulties after you hear it. What do you mean? Release them or not? It's just a matter of a word. Lin Yi's face was cold. His sky-class mid-phase peak strength was suddenly revealed, and this was giving Yu Yuxing a lot of pressure. Although Lin Yi wouldn't make a move directly, he still needed to let Yu Yuxing know that Lin Yi wouldn't be angry just because Yu Ning was here. Young hero Lin, please listen to me first. Yu Yuxing sighed helplessly. Actually, I didn't even imprison Shu's parents. What? What about her parents? Could it be that you've already killed him? Lin Yi's killing intent flared up. Her parents are alive and well. Yu Yuxing smiled bitterly. Not only are her parents fine, but her grandpa is also alive and well. Huh? Lin Yi paused. Because her grandpa is me. Yu Yuxing let out a long breath, as if he was releasing all the depression he had been suppressing for years. What? Lin Yi's eyes widened as he looked at Yu Yuxing. You're saying that Shu is your granddaughter? That's right, her father is my son, Yu Xiaochen, and Yu Ning is her twin sister. Yu Yuxing nodded and said solemnly. Yu Ning is Shu's sister? Lin Yi froze at this moment as he looked at Yu Yuxing, speechless. Fraternal twins, no wonder they didn't look that similar. Lin Yi had neglected this fact, but now that he thought about it, Ning and Shu did look similar in some ways. Yu Shu. Her real name is actually Yu Shu. The Chen surname is just a cover. Yu Yuxing continued slowly. House Chen knows about this as well, but I warned Elder Chen of House Chen to keep it a secret. Yu Shu. Lin Yi understood. No wonder the Yu in Yu Shu's name was different from the Yu in Yu Tian's name. Lin Yi thought that it was because they were male and female, but now it seemed like that wasn't the case. As for the pronunciations, it was just a coincidence. Then, Shu's engagement, what's going on? Lin Yi continued to ask. It's a fabrication. The person she's engaged to is the young master of Sky Elixir, Sky Silkworm transformation, but it's arranged by 5 Elements School, and only Elder Chen knows about it. Yu Yuxing said, the reason for this is probably because the inheritor can't lose her virginity. I don't want Yu Shu to fall in love too early. But, what I don't understand is, since Shu is from House Yu, why did you put her in the common world? Why did you force her? Lin Yi asked, puzzled. Yu Yuxing's words made sense, but Lin Yi still felt that there was something wrong with it. Yu Ning's attribute is water, while Yu Shu's attribute is fire. The 2 inheritors of water and fire cannot be together before they receive the inheritance. If they meet frequently, the result will be that the water and fire cancel each other out, and the physique of the 2 will change. Yu Yuxing said, you should know that water and fire are incompatible. We didn't tell Yu Shu the truth because we were afraid that she would meet with Yu Ning secretly. If they met each other, then all the arrangements would be for nothing. Water and fire are incompatible. The 5 elements are mutually restraining each other. Lin Yi frowned. If that's the case, then the inheritors of ice and fire will be together, right? Chapter 3366. Oh! Lin Yi was stunned. He didn't expect this. This is also the tragedy of 2 inheritors appearing at the same time. When she was young, Xiao Ning's body wasn't very good, and Xiao Shu's body was very strong. We could only choose to send her away. Speaking of which, she was also a child with a hard life. We didn't dare to tell her the truth. If it wasn't for the fact that we have no other choice, I'm afraid I will continue to hide this secret. I don't know how much Xiao Shu will hate us after she knows the truth. So that's how it is. Lin Yi nodded. Xiao Shu is a sensible child. Don't be fooled by her crazy appearance. In fact, if she knew that the sacrifice she made was for her sister, she would definitely understand. I hope so. I hope that young hero Lin can help explain. Yu Yuxing nodded happily after listening. Another thing is that Yu Shu is also going to receive the inheritance. The place she is going to is the Fiery Mountain. I believe she should have told you about it. However, what she will face is the same as Xiao Ning. There will also be a tantric master who will help her. Why? Asked Lin Yi. Because Xiao Shu and Xiao Ning are both prophets. After they receive the inheritance, their minds will be connected. To put it bluntly, they can share each other's thoughts to achieve the purpose of accurate calculation. Yu Yuxing said. What the fuck? Lin Yi jumped in shock. Sharing thoughts like this was possible. What will the personalities of Yu Ning and Yu Shu become? Will they affect each other? Moreover, these 2 people have the same thoughts. What is the relationship between Lin Yi and them? Could it be that when he and one of them have sex, the other person can also sense each other's thoughts? Isn't this too much? Lin Yi was suddenly shocked, speechless. Ahem. This is actually something that can't be helped. Yu Yuxing coughed twice and said, but fortunately, they both like you. There won't be any major conflicts of opinion in the future. It shouldn't be a big problem. Lin Yi was speechless at Yu Yuxing's words. He didn't know how to answer, so he had to change the topic. You called me, just for these 2 things? Not bad, young hero Lin, since you've agreed, you'll be the most honored guest of our hidden house Yu. As for Shu, I hope you can help persuade her to come to Fiery Mountain with sincerity, Yu Yuxing said. Let's not talk about guests anymore. Since I'm here, I'll meet Xiao Ning. Perhaps this will be the last time I see her before she leaves. Lin Yi sighed. All right, I'll make the arrangements. No one will disturb you tonight. However, you should know the importance of a successor, so I won't interfere with your hugging and kissing. But remember, there must be a limit. Yu Yuxing said. Sweat. You're thinking too much. Our relationship is very pure. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That night, Yu Yuxing held a banquet in the biggest living room of the hidden house Yu to welcome Lin Yi's arrival. However, in the entire hidden house Yu, only Yu Yi and Yu Xiaochen knew what Yu Yuxing meant. Everyone else was confused. Weren't Yu Yuxing and Lin Yi not on good terms before? Why were they eating together all of a sudden? Yu Ning didn't know that Lin Yi would come today. As usual, she was studying the rules of the Endless West Sea. Now, she knew what her mission was and what she was shouldering. She didn't know what the future held, but she had no other choice. She knew why House Yu had been glorious for the past few decades. She knew what it would mean if she refused. Of course, she couldn't refuse. She carried the hopes of everyone in House Yu. She finally knew why her grandfather was guarding against her and Lin Yi. She also knew what her grandfather was worried about. These days, Yu Ning was depressed. She didn't know if she could see Lin Yi again before she left. She didn't know if she could survive and come back to see Lin Yi. Today, Yu Ning was informed that there was an important banquet in the house. The whole family had to attend. Of course, the so-called whole family was Yu Yuxing, Yu Yi, Yu Xiaochen, and Yu Ning. As for Yu Xiaozhong and Yu Shan, they'd been blacklisted by Yu Hang, never to be mentioned again. Yu Ning left her residence and came to the living room. However, when Yu Ning stepped into the living room, she took a glance and saw Lin Yi's figure. She suddenly opened her mouth slightly and looked at the person sitting in the guest seat in disbelief. Yu Ning looked at her grandfather in shock. She didn't understand. Of course, in the past, every time Yuxing attended a banquet, he would always be the last to arrive, because his identity and strength were the strongest. But today was different. Lin Yi was already seated, and he couldn't show any sense of superiority in front of Lin Yi, so he accompanied Lin Yi to the banquet. As for Yu Ning, she was further away, so she was the last to arrive. However, no one dared to reprimand her. The reason was that Lin Yi was sitting here. If Lin Yi didn't speak, who dared to speak? Xiao Ning, you're here. Sit next to me. Lin Yi smiled and waved at Yu Ning. There wasn't anyone sitting next to Lin Yi, but he made an exception and added a chair for Yu Ning. Of course, Lin Yi was the eldest here. Whatever he said was the law. Yu Ning responded shyly. Seeing that her grandfather and father didn't object, Yu Yi also added a chair for himself. Yu Ning quickly sat next to Lin Yi, but her face was a bit strange. She didn't know why House Yu was doing this today. Young hero Lin, can you say a few words? Seeing that everyone was seated, Yu Yuxing said to Lin Yi. It was also a sign of respect to Lin Yi. I won't say anything. Elder Yu, you are the host. You can say it. Lin Yi waved his hand and refused. Okay then. Yu Yuxing nodded. Hero Lin, I'm sure you're all familiar with him, right? He's one of the strongest practitioners in the world of practitioners, the savior of our hidden House Yu. He was the one who saved Ning when she was kidnapped, and when she went overseas to train, he was the one who protected her as well. The two of them were fated to be together from a long time ago. Chapter 3367. Yu Ning's mother was a beautiful woman. What surprised Lin Yi was that Yu Ning looked very similar to Yu Shu. It seemed like Yu Xing wasn't lying to him. Yu Ning, on the other hand, didn't look like her mother at all. If he looked closely, he could see the shadow of Yu Xiaochen and Yu Xiaojin. Of course, Yu Xiaochen was handsome when he was young. If Yu Xiaojin didn't marry the wrong person, she would be here now. Grandpa. Yu Ning was a little embarrassed. Lin Yi didn't hide anything. Since Yu Xing had invited him here, it meant that he was officially accepted. So, Lin Yi held Yu Ning's hand. This feeling made Lin Yi's heart beat faster. It was as if he had returned to that year, that Valentine's Day night. The bonfire, the cave, the beasts outside, a beautiful girl sitting next to the bonfire, telling her heart to him. Everything came to Lin Yi's mind, as if it was a lifetime ago. This time, holding hands, he would never let go again. He would never let go of what he had missed before. Ning, accept the inheritance with peace of mind. For you, for Shu, Yarrow Yarrow, and Xiao Xiao, I will participate in that plan. No one can stop me, Lin Yi said solemnly. Yu Shu, Meng Yarrow, and Xiao Xiao's names, Yu Ning had heard Yu Bing mention them before. She knew that they were Lin Yi's confidants, so she wasn't jealous. She was just touched by Lin Yi's responsibility. Of course, the reason why Yu Ning didn't reject her becoming an inheritor was because of these people. Lin Yi couldn't give up on them. At the same time, Lin Yi wouldn't give up on her, but, because of House Yu, he had never made a solemn promise. Today, Lin Yi made a promise, and Yu Ning was relieved. This time, no matter how many obstacles and thorns there were, she would face them with a smile. Night. In a cave in the mountain behind House Yu, Lin Yi brought Yu Ning and lit a bonfire here. The back mountain was the hidden House Yu's forbidden grounds. Everyone from House Yu, including Yu Yi and Yu Xiaochen, didn't dare stay there for no reason. Yu Xing, however, ignored Lin Yi and Yu Ning's actions. This night, Yu Ning and Lin Yi quietly sat side by side at the entrance of the cave, looking at the burning bonfire in front of them. Although there were no beasts here, there was no worry of war, but the memories of the two people seemed to have returned to the past. Yu Ning leaned her head on Lin Yi's shoulder. The two of them snuggled together, and the thousands of words in their hearts were hidden in this long night. Lin Yi and Yu Ning were communicating with each other. It seemed that they both knew what to say. Without saying anything, they could feel each other's deep concern. The next morning, Lin Yi said goodbye to Yu Ning and Yu Yuxing. He brought Xiaoke and Yu Dake out of the hidden House Yu. Yu Ning, it was time to go. Lin Yi had to return home as soon as possible and talk to Shu, because after Yu Ning, it would be her. Kang Ming, in the end, didn't find little Yi's body. He drove back to Five Elements Sect alone, and the first thing he did was to meet the Shenchen ancestor. Zhaoming, you are back. Did you find little Yi's body? The Shenchen ancestor looked at Kang Ming and asked. No. Kang Ming shook his head. He also felt that this matter was quite scary. Such a big living body, it just disappeared like that. Wasn't it a bit unrealistic? But so what if it wasn't realistic? Then what happened? The Shenchen ancestor frowned. Little Yi's soul jade tablet was cracked, but it didn't break. What did this mean? Could it be that there were some uncertain factors in this? Father-in-law, I don't know either. Kang Ming smiled bitterly. In short, things are too strange. If you didn't call me, I wouldn't have known that senior brother's body had been lost. Forget it, let's not talk about this matter for now. Maybe something unexpected happened. Although the Shenchen ancestor's scalp was a little numb, he was a top cultivator after all, so he could control his emotions very well. He looked at Kang Ming and said, previously, you told me that Lin Yi didn't have the strength to kill a peak late-stage heaven-stage great perfection master. It should be like this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked the Bubble Li clan to take action and owe such a big favor. Kang Ming nodded. In that case, this is a chance to kill Lin Yi. The Shenchen ancestor clicked his tongue, pondered for a moment, and said, now, we can't do anything to Lin Yi. Boss Bai is watching over there, and we're about to reach the critical moment of the Heavenly Island plan. I don't want to cause unnecessary trouble. This time, we're relying on the Bubble Li clan, and we've also suffered a loss. Boss Bai might not blame us, but if we directly make a move, I can't guarantee that he won't do something desperate. But if we let Lin Yi develop like this, then whether our Heavenly Island plan can be carried out is another matter. Kang Ming followed the Shenchen ancestor and more or less understood some things about the Heavenly Island plan. Most of those inheritors are Lin Yi's women. When the time comes, if he objects, our efforts will be in vain. That's true. The Shenchen ancestor closed his eyes. After a moment, he opened them again, and a bright light shot out. He said, it seems that the Heavenly Trial is the only chance to kill Lin Yi. Father-in-law, our Five Elements sect is going to hold a trial. After hearing this, Kang Ming was slightly surprised and quickly asked. That's right, our Five Elements sect hasn't held a trial for a long time. Taking advantage of the Heavenly Island plan, we'll hold a trial and kill Lin Yi here. The Shenchen ancestor nodded and said, the deaths and injuries in the trial can't be investigated. Even if Boss Bai is unwilling, there's nothing we can do. But this time, who are we going to send to kill Lin Yi? Kang Ming asked. I'm going to let Little Fool and the Heavenly Silkworm transformation team up to kill Lin Yi. I don't believe that two experts at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage can't beat Lin Yi. The Shenchen ancestor sneered and said, Zhaoming, go and cultivate. You'll also participate in the Heavenly Trial this time. Go and experience it, but you must be careful. Chapter 3368. Don't worry. I have already talked to Dr. Benjamin too. His and Miss Land's experiment is over. This time, he will send the Zhao family's experts to be your bodyguards. Each of these Zhao family's experts has the strength of peak late-stage great perfection. You don't have to worry about your safety, said Ancestor Shen Chen. No way. So powerful. Kang Ming was overjoyed after hearing it. 3 top experts. However, he was a little confused. Since these people are so powerful, why don't you let them kill Lin Yi? Isn't that easier? The 3 of them have just achieved divine power, and they don't have much experience. They haven't adapted to the identity of peak late-stage great perfection. I'm afraid they will suffer a loss if we let them kill Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi is more cunning and has some trump cards, so it's better to let Little Fool and Heavenly Silkworm Transformation, who have more combat experience, take action. Ancestor Shen Chen said. In addition, these people from the Zhao family, although they have hatred for Lin Yi, in the end, they are on Miss Lan's side. Miss Lan didn't mention this matter, so we can't make a decision on our own. If that's the case, then I can have a good time. Kang Ming nodded happily after listening. Little Yi, let's investigate this matter a little more. A living person like that is gone just like that. Are you sure it's not Lin Yi's doing? Ancestor Shen Chen was still worried about Little Yi. It shouldn't be. I left first, and Lin Yi left later. When I left, there was a corpse in the car. Besides, what's the use of a dead person for Lin Yi? Kang Ming shook his head. That's true, but if I don't find Little Yi's body, I won't feel at ease. Is there someone else standing in the dark? I don't believe in the existence of any supernatural things, said Ancestor Shen Chen. Then I'll investigate again. Although Kang Ming said so, he didn't take it to heart. In his opinion, people were dead, so who cared where their bodies went? Okay, but be careful. Patriarch Xuanshen's words warmed Kang Ming's heart. It seemed like Patriarch Shen Chen still cared about him. Lin Yi left the hidden house Yu with Yu Dake and Yu Xiaoke, returning to Donghai City. On the way, Lin Yi didn't seem to be in a good mood. He kept his eyes closed, deep in thought. Yu Dake could tell that Lin Yi wasn't in a good mood, so he didn't dare to say anything. Xiaoke, on the other hand, was a little depressed. Obviously, Lin Yi and Yu Ning from the hidden house Yu had something going on. She could tell from the look in her eyes when she sent him off. Although Xiaoke didn't say it, she wasn't too happy that another girl popped out. But it was only for a while. Xiaoke knew where she stood, and she was glad that the male thief only liked her. That was enough. As for Lin Yi, Xiaoke's love was for the gentle male thief in the tomb. I'm going to train for a bit. Call me if you need anything, Lin Yi finally said. There were too many things going on recently, and Lin Yi didn't have the time to train. He wasted a lot of time, and now, the inheritor's plan wasn't far away. Lin Yi had to raise his strength to the next level as soon as possible. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to handle the unknown dangers in the future. Yu Ning, Yu Shu, Meng Yaro, Xiao Xiao, Little Nine, these people all needed Lin Yi's protection. Lin Yi had to have the strength to look down on everyone else. Only then would he have the absolute right to speak in the plan. After entering the Jade Space, Lin Yi was about to sit down and train, but suddenly, Lin Yi saw a corner of the Jade Space. He was shocked and almost screamed. Luckily, it was in the Jade Space. Otherwise, wouldn't Xiaoke and Yu Dake be shocked? Fuck, Jiao Lao, what are you doing? What is this? Lin Yi pointed at the corner of the Jade Space. Isn't that Little Yi's body? How did you get into my space? Lin Yi wasn't afraid of dead people, but an enemy's body appearing in the Jade Space out of nowhere made Lin Yi a little uneasy. It's not me. It's that guy, Jiao Yazi said as he pointed at the ghost in the corner. Ghost Senior, you're awake? Lin Yi paused and asked. Yes, he's awake. This corpse is pretty good, it's a peak late heaven rank expert at the Great Perfection realm, a bit stronger than an ordinary Great Perfection expert. I'll temporarily refine him into my puppet avatar to play with. I've recently recovered a lot of my spirit power here, the spiritual energy here is really abundant, haha. The ghost suddenly laughed. Speaking of which, I have to thank you for giving me such a good toy. Puppet doppelganger? Lin Yi paused. He didn't understand what the ghost meant. You brought this body in? How can you control the Jade Space? Haha, in the space of the Jade Pendant, I'm actually half the owner of the space. If you can bring things in, Then I can too. You can ask Elder Jiao, he can do it too. The ghost laughed. Of course, this is all thanks to the jade space you made. If you didn't make it, I wouldn't be able to bring the body in. I see. Lin Yi shuddered. Luckily, he wasn't afraid of these things. Otherwise, he'd be scared to death. Then did you make it? What's the purpose of refining this so-called puppet clone? Actually, it's not that useful. I just want to send a strand of my primordial spirit into this corpse and turn it into my puppet doppelganger. It can move freely in the outside world. Of course, it's still a little weak for me. I'll just take it as I'm bored and go out to play. The ghost said. It's equivalent to another me. It can be controlled by the me in the jade space. Oh! In other words, it's equivalent to a sky-class late-phase master outside the jade space. Moreover, it's controlled by you? Lin Yi was pleasantly surprised. Isn't this equivalent to having an extra fighter? However, after the excitement, Lin Yi calmed down. Although this was a powerful fighter, would this ghost be willing to work for him? He'd asked it for help several times before, but it was cold and indifferent. This time, it should be even more unwilling to let its clone be a fighter. Chapter 3369. Then. Senior, can you send this puppet avatar to help me? Lin Yi pondered for a moment and asked, for example, when I'm in danger? Well, yes. The ghost didn't hesitate this time. It directly agreed without much thought, which made Lin Yi very surprised. He thought that he had heard it wrong. Senior Ghost, did you just say yes? Lin Yi asked with a little bit of disbelief. Yes. The ghost laughed and said, don't be surprised. In fact, my puppet avatar still needs your help to enter and exit the space of the jade pendant. Although I can also control it, it will consume a lot of my spirit power. I don't want to use my spirit power in this place. When the time comes, I will need your help. Oh. However, if I were to help, wouldn't that mean that this puppet clone would enter another space? The one that I refined? Lin Yi pointed to the space where he stored things. That won't happen. This puppet avatar has a mind and retains my thoughts. It will automatically choose the space that it needs, and it won't enter the space next to it. The ghost explained. I see. Lin Yi suddenly understood. Then is this thing alive or dead? How can it enter the space, but other living things can't? Other things can, but there's no air inside, so it can't be breathed. The ghost said until here, but was suddenly interrupted by Jiao Yazi. Ahem. Jiao Yazi coughed twice. Haha, I won't say it. Jiao Yazi won't let me say it. The ghost quickly stopped talking. Obviously, when Lin Yi wasn't in the space, the two of them had communicated, which made Lin Yi very unhappy. Obviously, it was hidden from him. This puppet avatar isn't a living person. Of course, it can't be said to be a dead person. It can only be called a living dead. It doesn't need to breathe. It only needs to absorb the aura of heaven and earth to replenish its physical strength, and its thoughts are controlled by the old ghost. Jiao Yazi explained, as for other living people, they can't come in for the time being. Okay. Lin Yi heard Jiao Yazi's words. So, could he come in the future? However, Lin Yi didn't want to ask anymore. If he asked, it would be useless because his memory hadn't recovered. Moreover, Lin Yi had a puppet avatar with the strength of the late peak of heaven stage to help him. It was already a very good thing. It seemed that this trip was very rewarding. If there are more corpses of masters with the strength of the late peak of heaven stage, can you continue to refine the puppet avatar? Lin Yi asked. I can, but it consumes a lot of my spirit power. It's not interesting. Moreover, I see that this master with the strength of the late peak of heaven stage is stronger than the others, so I got it for fun. The others are too weak. I'm not interested. The ghost said, you are quite suitable. Why don't I refine you? Then forget it. Although Lin Yi knew that the ghost was joking, he still shuddered. If it wanted to make a move on him, it would have done it a long time ago. It was obviously to scare him. Hehe, I will continue to sleep. My puppet avatar is always awake. If there's anything, you can find him. After the ghost finished speaking, it didn't move at all. Senior Ghost, are you dormant? Lin Yi tried to ask. Yes, the puppet avatar suddenly spoke, and it gave Lin Yi a fright. The voice was exactly the same as little Yi. Okay, you go on with your work. Lin Yi felt weird. The addition of little Yi in the jade space really made him feel uncomfortable. No wonder Kang Ming Ming was looking for corpses everywhere. It turned out that the corpse was brought by the ghost. Lin Yi sat cross-legged and began to practice. The car sped on the road. When they reached Donghai City, it was already midnight. However, the sound of the car still woke Yushu up. Han Jingjing had already returned to her villa to do experiments. This girl was so busy that she couldn't hear the outside world at all. Shield bro, you are back? Yushu looked a little haggard. Lin Yi felt a slight pain in his heart. Perhaps, she already knew from Yui that she was going to Fiery Mountain. Shu, let's go in and talk. Lin Yi reached out and rubbed her forehead. You didn't rest before? Yeah, I have something to tell you. Yui called me before. Shu was a little down. I know, I went to the hidden house Yu Xing and Elder you already told me everything, Lin Yi said. It's about going to Fiery Mountain, right? Yeah. I'm leaving, in a few days, Yushu sighed. Yushu sighed softly. I knew this day would come, but I didn't think it'd come so soon. Yaro's gone, I'm gone, and Xin Yang's fainted. I'm really worried about the family. Lin Yi bro, don't look at me like I'm an idiot. Yeah, I know, but don't worry, after you go, I'll go find you guys in no time. I'll be a part of that plan, and I won't let anyone hurt you guys. Absolutely not, Lin Yi nodded solemnly. Yeah, Shu believes that Shield Bro will be very powerful. Don't forget that I'm Prophet Shu. Yushu smiled and clenched her fist. Prophet Shu. Lin Yi suddenly remembered Yu Xing's words. No wonder Shu's words had come true so many times. Before, Lin Yi thought that it was a coincidence, but now that he thought about it, it wasn't. This was Shu's innate talent. But now that she said it, it made Lin Yi more confident in facing the future plan. If Shu really predicted that the future wouldn't be smooth, she would probably stop it at all costs, right? Or maybe she didn't predict anything, and her words were just to comfort Lin Yi. But no matter what, Lin Yi was full of courage and confidence now. In the living room of the villa, Yu Dake and Yu Xiaoke sat on the sofa. Lin Yi didn't want to hide anything from them. Ever since Lin Yi knew about Yu Xiaoke's ability, he planned to train her to be his best assistant in battle. Yu Xiaoke's ability could save lives in critical moment. Especially when Lin Yi used his ultimate skill, he used up all his energy. As long as Yu Xiaoke could hold on for a while, Lin Yi would have the chance to recover. Chapter 3370. It's nothing. Right, did Yui tell you about your parents? Lin Yi felt that he had to tell Shu about this. With Shu's mature personality, she wouldn't do anything irrational. Oh. No, Shield Bro, are you going to the hidden house to help me find my parents? Yushu asked quickly. Part of it. You've heard of Yu Ning, right? Lin Yi nodded. Yeah, isn't she Shield Bro's first love? Yushu had heard about Yu Ning before, so she wasn't too surprised. Her other identity is the inheritor of the water element, Lin Yi said. Ah, she's also an inheritor. Holy shit, all the inheritors are Shield Bro's wives. Yushu's eyes widened in shock. Phut. Isn't there a mist and wood element too? Lin Yi felt that this was quite a coincidence. All the inheritors were related to him in some way, but was it really a coincidence? Lin Dongfang and Mo Kongwen might just smile and not say anything. Was it planned? Or mist element? Yushu opened her mouth but didn't say anything. I think so too. Okay. It can't be Yu Xiaoke and Wang Xinyan, right? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I don't know, Yushu shook her head, so House Yuzmis is also an inheritor. Her most important identity isn't an inheritor, but your sister, Lin Yi suddenly said. Oh. Yushu blinked. My sister? What do you mean? She clearly didn't understand what Lin Yi was talking about. It was too sudden, and it was hard for her to understand. Yu Ning is your sister, Lin Yi said seriously. Your real name is Yushu, and you're from the hidden house Yu. Ah. Yu Ning is my sister. Then my parents. At this moment, Shu, who was always calm and had a mischievous look on her face, was a little flustered. This news was too shocking. It overturned everything she knew in the past 10 years. Although Shu knew that she wasn't from House Chen, she always thought that House Yu kidnapped her parents and forced her to do something. But now, Lin Yi said that she was from House Yu? How was this possible? Your parents are Yu Xiaochen and his wife. Your grandfather is Yu Xing. You and Yu Ning are twin sisters. She's the older sister, and you're the younger sister. It's that simple. Lin Yi said. This? How is this possible? Then why did Yui treat me like that? Brother Lin Yi, are you lying to Shu? Is it because Shu's parents are dead and you're trying to comfort her? Yu Shu didn't believe Lin Yi's words. When have I ever lied to you? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Actually, it's like this. With that, Lin Yi told Yu Shu everything Yu Xing said in detail. Yu Shu wasn't stupid. In fact, she was very smart. She fell into silence after hearing Lin Yi's words, but it was obvious that she believed the truth. She was indeed from the hidden House Yu, and she was Yu Xing's granddaughter. So, actually, House Yu had no choice. They were afraid that I would go home to see my parents and sister, so they lied to me. Yu Shu sighed softly. Yes, although they lied to you, there's a reason behind it. Of course, I'm not trying to excuse them. I just think that since they are your family and you've been looking forward to it for so long, there's no need to make things unpleasant. Lin Yi explained. No. Actually, they think that I'm crazy and would do anything. It's not like that. Shield bro, you know Shu the best, don't you? If I knew the truth, I would never go to my sister. Yu Shu shook her head and murmured. I know, but your disguise has successfully fooled many people, including Yao Yao. So, there's a reason why House Yu lied to you, Lin Yi said, but, you don't hate your sister, do you? If you gave her away, you would be the princess of House Yu. No, I think I'm very lucky. If I stayed in the hidden House Yu, how sad would that be? I wouldn't be able to meet Yao Yao, and I wouldn't be able to meet Shield Bro. Yu Shu said happily and confidently. Lin Yi sighed in relief. Didn't Ning meet me too? Even if she did, it wouldn't be as easy as Shu meeting Shield Bro. Her family doesn't even allow her to meet him, but Shu can live with Shield Bro, eh? I'm afraid that my sister would be jealous of me. Yu Shu smiled. Lin Yi didn't know if Shu was telling the truth or not. She was too good at hiding her true feelings and thoughts. But, no matter what, Shu's attitude made Lin Yi sigh in relief. But, although she is my sister, I still support Yao Yao sis as the main wife. This won't change. Shu's position is very firm, Yu Shu said suddenly. Phut. Shu, I'm talking about something serious. Why are you saying this all of a sudden? Lin Yi was a little embarrassed. Shu is talking about something serious, Yu Shu said matter-of-factly. Ha! So, you're saying that you can let go of the knot in your heart and go to Fiery Mountain? Before you leave, I'll go with you to the hidden House Yu? Lin Yi asked. I'm not going. Actually, my parents are just something I've been looking forward to for a long time. Now that I know about it, I don't really want to see them anymore. Thinking about it, the closest people to me are actually Yao Yao sis and Shield Bro, as well as House Chen's parents, grandpa, and brother. I don't have any sense of belonging in the hidden House Yu. My Yuning sis, I can accept her because of Shield Bro, but I suddenly don't want to see anyone else. Yu Shu shook her head lightly. Alright, I'll listen to you. Lin Yi suddenly felt a little sad. Yu Shu always thought that her parents were forced by House Yu. Now that she knew that wasn't the case, her persistence was shattered. Naturally, she didn't feel much about the hidden House Yu anymore. Shu's a little sleepy. I'm going to sleep. Shield Bro, see you tomorrow. Yu Shu stood up slowly. For the first time, she didn't ask Lin Yi about the adventure in Hakunamata Desert. Lin Yi knew that Shu must have suffered quite a big blow today. He didn't say anything else. Yeah, good night. Sweet dreams. Chapter 3371. Xiaoke and Dake actually sympathized with Yu Shu. She was a pitiful girl, especially since Yu Shu had helped the orphanage before. Xiaoke didn't hate her at all. Xiaoke had started to accept the people around Lin Yi. She liked the identity of a male thief, but in reality, Lin Yi was Lin Yi. Male thief, my brother and I are sleepy. Are there any empty rooms here? Xiaoke didn't want to disturb Lin Yi. She knew that Lin Yi was going to see Xinyan, so she didn't want to disturb him. Okay, I'll find 2 rooms for you. Lin Yi nodded and stood up, arranging rooms for Xiaoke and Dake. After everything was arranged, Lin Yi walked to his room. Xinyan was arranged to stay here, and now that Lin Yi had the energy stones, naturally, he had to save Xinyan first. Opening the door, Lin Yi saw Xinyan lying on his bed with a pale face. Compared to when Lin Yi left, she seemed even more haggard. Of course, it could be Lin Yi's imagination. Lin Yi took out 2 energy stones from the jade space. They had been fully charged for the past few days, but Lin Yi wasn't sure if they could wake Xinyan up. Lin Yi didn't know if the unconscious Xinyan could absorb the energy from the stones on her own. No matter what, Lin Yi put the stones next to Xinyan's pillow and observed it silently. He wanted to see if the color of the stones would dim. That would prove that Xinyan had absorbed the energy from the stones. In actuality, Lin Yi was wondering if Xinyan could absorb the energy from his body. But it didn't seem to work. Wang Xinyan didn't have the incantation, and the energy in her body wasn't pure spiritual qi. She couldn't convert it into the energy that Wang Xinyan needed. She was different from spirit beasts. However, after observing for a while, Lin Yi did not find any obvious changes in the energy stone, so he took out his phone and prepared to find Auntie Qing to ask. After all, Auntie Qing should know more. Aunt Qing? Lin Yi dialed Aunt Qing's number. Aunt Qing's position in the ice palace allowed her to have her own satellite phone. Little Yi, how is it? How's the physical condition of the friend you mentioned? Aunt Qing's caring voice sounded on the other side of the phone, warming Lin Yi's heart. Aunt Qing, I found the energy stone, but when I placed it by her pillow, she still hasn't woken up. Moreover, I don't see much change in the energy stone. She doesn't seem to be absorbing it. Lin Yi asked anxiously. It's impossible that she doesn't absorb it. She's relying on her body to naturally absorb the spiritual qi around her, but the speed and flow are relatively slow. You can't see it with the naked eye. Aunt Qing explained, let alone her, even practitioners who use the energy stone to cultivate won't be able to see any changes in the energy stone within a few days. There's nothing strange about it. So that's how it is. Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief and asked, then, when will she wake up? That's hard to say. It depends on the abundance of the spiritual qi around her, the amount of energy contained in the energy stone, and the surface area of the energy stone, Aunt Qing said. Surface area? Lin Yi paused and said, the size of the energy stone also matters. That's right. The bigger the energy stone, the more energy can be absorbed in the same amount of time. Of course, this is also related to the amount of energy contained in the energy stone itself, Aunt Qing explained. Then, what if there are more energy stones? If a lot of energy stones are placed around her, will it help her wake up faster? Lin Yi listened to Aunt Qing's explanation and was immediately delighted. That's natural, but energy stones are relatively rare. Very few people will do this, Aunt Qing said. Right, little Yi, did you get a lot of energy stones? Yes, I brought back a car full of energy stones from the Bubble Li clan. The trunk is full. Lin Yi didn't hide it, but he didn't mention the status of the energy stones either. That many? Aunt Qing was a little surprised. If that's the case, if you have spare time, I suggest you give a few to Xiao Xiao. She doesn't have a level barrier. If there are energy stones in hand, it can help her quickly reach the peak of the late stage of heaven stage. That works. Lin Yi didn't expect energy stones to have this kind of use. Yes, it's just that there aren't many energy stones left in the training world. The only ones are concentrated in the 5-element sect, but although the 5-element sect is. At this point, Aunt Qing suddenly stopped. She didn't know how much Lin Yi knew, so she didn't want Lin Yi to get involved in order to avoid trouble. What about the 5-element sect? Lin Yi asked. The inheritor plan should be led by the 5-element sect, right? Won't they give the energy stones to the inheritors? If there are leftovers, they might, but right now they're focusing on improving the strength of a practitioner called medium, so they'll definitely put him first, Aunt Qing said. As for Xiao Xiao, The relationship between the Ice Palace and the Five-Element sect is very subtle. I don't know if we can get it in the end. Of course, if it's a small amount, 1 or 2 won't be very useful. Then how many energy stones does Xiao Xiao need to improve his strength to the peak of the late stage of heaven class? Lin Yi asked. About 20 energy stones the size of a fist, Aunt Qing said. From the yellow class to the earth class, 1 energy stone is enough, but from the earth class to the peak of the late stage of heaven class, it'll need about 20. The higher the level, the more heaven and earth energy is needed. You can understand the reason behind this, right? I know this. 20. Okay, no problem. I'll have someone send you 30. Lin Yi had a lot of energy stones in his hands. 30 really wasn't much. What? 30? You can't use that much. Aunt Qing was shocked. Little Yi, if you give all of these to me, what about your friends? It's okay, I still have more. Lin Yi said, right, but please don't throw away the energy stones that have been used. I still have use for them. Chapter 3372. That's good, I'll get someone to send it over right away. Lin Yi wasn't expecting such a pleasant surprise. Lin Yi could still go to the Hakunamata Desert and ask for energy stones from the Bubbles clan, but the Bubbles clan was just too far from here. He had the purple lightning beast, but Lin Yi couldn't bring too many back this time. The Ice Palace being able to trade for some made up for the lack of numbers. You can give the rest of the stones to the Ice Palace as a reward. Tell me when you're done with it, don't worry about it. The Ice Palace is Xiao Xiao's home now, and with your relationship with Aunt Qing, I'll be fine with it. Oh, that's great. Aunt Qing was overjoyed. With the rest of the stones as rewards for the Ice Palace disciples, it would be able to motivate them to train and raise a batch of Sky Class. One had to know that going from Earth late phase peak to Sky Class didn't require that many stones. 1 was enough, and these 10 extra stones could raise 10 Sky Class Masters. The Ice Palace's strength would increase as well. Yi, thank you so much. Aunt Qing said gratefully. It's nothing, I have to thank you, Aunt Qing. Lin Yi shook his head. Aunt Qing, about that practitioner's art, please help me look for it. All right, I understand, Aunt Qing replied. After hanging up, Lin Yi took out all the energy stones from the jade space and placed them around Xinyan. There were over 1,000 of them, and they surrounded Xinyan in an instant. It was as if Xinyan was sleeping in a pit made out of stones. Interesting. After that, Lin Yi called Chikuan. Chikuan, come over for a bit. Lin Yi didn't explain too much, and Chikuan quickly appeared in Lin Yi's villa. Boss, I'm here. You're back. What do you need me to do? Chikuan was the type who was always on standby. Ride the purple thunderbolt beast to the Ice Palace and give Xiao Xiao 30 energy stones. Also, bring back all the energy stones from the Ice Palace. Lin Yi told Chikuan, go next door and ask Han Jingjing for the energy stones, she has a lot. Lin Yi didn't touch Wang Xinyan's. Instead, he asked him to take Han Jingjing's so that he could give more to Wang Xinyan. No problem, I'll go now. Chikuan had been to the Ice Palace before and knew Xiao Xiao. Yes, let's go now. Come back quickly, Lin Yi said. All right, I'll go now. Chikuan didn't waste any time and left. Lin Yi, on the other hand, returned to Wang Xinyan's room, only to find that Wang Xinyan's eyes were open. She was looking at the energy stones around her with a confused and curious expression. Where am I? Am I dead? Is this my coffin? Xinyan looked at the energy stones around her, thinking that it was some kind of special coffin. She didn't know where she was. Xinyan, you're awake. Lin Yi was surprised and happy. Lin Yi, I'm at your house. Xinyan remembered abruptly that she seemed to have followed Lin Yi to his villa, and then went to sleep with Yushu at night. She didn't remember anything after that. Could she have been unconscious all this time? It seemed like it, but what were these things around her? Why did Xinyan feel like she was filled with energy all of a sudden? Like she was full of energy. As if she had never been sick before. Yes, you're at home. You fainted earlier, and I heard that your body could absorb energy from the surroundings, so I got some energy stones, and it worked. It seems like your body can absorb the energy from these stones. Lin Yi said it very casually, as if it was something very normal, But Xinyan knew that it wasn't easy for Lin Yi to do all this. Xinyan didn't know how precious these energy stones were, nor did she know how he got them, but from the looks of it, they weren't ordinary. It wasn't easy for Lin Yi to get so many of them all at once. Xinyan felt a little touched, but she wasn't very good at expressing her gratitude. She was a quiet girl, and she wasn't very good at expressing her feelings with words. She only felt that Lin Yi treated her very well, and if Lin Yi asked her to do anything, she would do it, including giving up her life. Xinyan seemed to think of something all of a sudden. With these energy stones, I won't faint anymore. Lin Yi, I feel like I'm full of energy. It's all because of these energy stones, right? Chem. You feel full of energy? It seems like these energy stones are very effective. That's great. Lin Yi was very happy after hearing Xinyan's words. It seemed like Aunt Qing's method was very effective. Then, can you hug me and train? You don't have to worry about me fainting. Because of the energy stones, right? Xinyan said, blushing. Train. Xinyan was a fatal temptation to Lin Yi. Not only could he hug her to sleep, but he could also increase his strength. It was a win-win situation like this, and naturally, Lin Yi would like it. But right now, Lin Yi couldn't be sure if his training speed with Xinyan in his arms would be faster than Xinyan's own absorption speed. It wouldn't be a problem if it was slower than Xinyan's absorption speed, but if it was faster, wouldn't Xinyan faint every day? 1 or 2 days was fine, but if she passed out every day, wouldn't that cause problems for her body? Lin Yi felt that it was better to be cautious. After all, this was related to Xinyan's health. You've just woken up, why don't you pass? I don't want to affect your health. Lin Yi rejected after some hesitation. It's fine, I'll give it a try. Xinyan suddenly felt a little embarrassed. I haven't been hugged in a long time, I kind of miss it. Being hugged by Lin Yi made Xinyan feel very comfortable and at ease. She hadn't felt this way in a long time, and it made her miss it a little. Then, all right. Lin Yi didn't want to reject Xinyan's offer. It'd be a little hurtful, too. If it didn't work after one night, Lin Yi could stop training. Chapter 3373. But I'm not sleepy right now, I'm full of energy. Lin Yi, can you tell me where these energy stones came from, and what's going on with my body? Xinyan's breathing was a little ragged from Lin Yi's hug, and she wanted to change the topic and talk to Lin Yi. All right, we'll have to start from the day you fell unconscious. Lin Yi didn't reject the offer. Xinyan had been unconscious for so many days, and it was only natural that he'd just woken up. Xinyan listened to Lin Yi's story, and while Lin Yi was playing it down, it was still a very dangerous thing. Just running into Kang Ming Ming in the Bubble Li clan wasn't a good thing. Kang Ming Ming was a narrow-minded man, and he'd always been pissed that she'd been with Lin Yi instead of his brother. There was no way he wouldn't cause trouble for Lin Yi. But now that Lin Yi was talking about it, it made it sound like Lin Yi had run into Kang Ming Ming, and he'd gotten his friends from the Bubble Li clan to get rid of Little One, and Kang Ming Ming owed him a chi-gathering pill. No matter how you looked at it, it was Lin Yi bullying Kang Ming Ming. Of course, Xinyan knew that Lin Yi wasn't someone like that, but she didn't question him. She listened quietly, surprised by the number of energy stones around her. You're saying that the jade on your chest can charge energy stones? Xinyan and Lin Yi often slept in each other's arms, and naturally knew that Lin Yi had a jade as well. She didn't ask about it, but now that Lin Yi was talking about it, she realized just how powerful Lin Yi's jade was. Not only did it have a storage space, it could charge energy stones as well. Yeah, it's just that living people can't go in. If it's possible to go in, I'll let you in directly. Then, I won't have to worry about your body's energy loss anymore. Lin Yi said regretfully. Lin Yi had an indescribable trust in Xinyan, so he told her about the jade pendant. Moreover, with Lin Yi's current strength, there was no need to hide these things. Things were different now. The enemies that Lin Yi feared in the past were now afraid of Lin Yi. It doesn't matter. Energy stones are the same. I can still be full of energy after using energy stones to recharge them. Xinyan suddenly realized how blessed she was. Lin Yi was willing to go through all that trouble just to get these energy stones for her. Can you tell me more about what happened? I want to hear. Sure. Lin Yi knew that Xinyan had fainted before, and while she had enough energy stones, she was still worried that she'd faint again. Talking to her now would put her at ease. Gradually, Xinyan grew sleepy as well. She fell asleep in Lin Yi's arms, a satisfied and happy smile still on her face. Lin Yi took a deep breath and entered the jade space, trying to use Xinyan's fragrance to speed up his training once more. Lin Yi's strength had gone through a couple of levels. He was now Sky Class mid-phase thanks to the Qi gathering pill. It wasn't easy to level up again, but Lin Yi's third stage of the art of dragon mastery was close to perfection. Lin Yi was already looking forward to the benefits of the fourth stage. The next morning, Lin Yi drove the jeep to school with Yushu and Xinyan, just like before. It had been a while since Lin Yi last came to school, and he couldn't help but feel a little absent-minded. In the blink of an eye, there were two people missing from his side. Han Jingjing and Meng Yaro wouldn't be in school anymore. Ever since Han Jingjing's identity was exposed, she hadn't been coming back to school. It seemed that her previous identity was just to hide it from Lin Yi. Meng Yaro, on the other hand, hadn't been back since she went to the Dark Palace. After that, it was probably Shu's turn. Shu didn't have much time left in this school, but when they arrived at school, Lin Yi suddenly realized that there was no one there. Right, it's already the holidays. Lin Yi laughed bitterly. Why didn't you guys remind me? Oh. Yushu raised her head. Shield bro, where are we going? Lin Yi couldn't help but smile at Yushu's words. It seemed that he wasn't the only one with a heavy heart these past few days. Even Shu was the same. It seemed that Shu didn't even know that he was going to school. She just followed Lin Yi out in a daze. It's fine, we're just going for a ride. Lin Yi shrugged. I lost track of time when I fainted. I thought school started. Xinyan was a little embarrassed. All right, let's go home. Lin Yi smiled and started the car. Overseas Practitioners Association this year, He Luodong also received an invitation to the Sky Class trials. He was the first to receive it. As the younger brother of the acting head of the Five Elements sect, Elder Chen, Elder Chen only notified him because they were relatives, but in reality, Elder Chen didn't have much hope that He Luodong would send someone to participate. After all, it was a long journey, and the rewards of the Sky Class trials weren't enough to move He Luodong. But He Luodong was really moved. Of course, what moved him wasn't the rewards, but the fact that Lin Yi would be participating in the Sky Class trials. This was what the Chen ancestor had written to his family at the back of the invitation. The Chen ancestor was prepared to let his disciple, Little and the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect, Sky Silkworm form, attack together to kill Lin Yi. It could be said that He Luo hated Lin Yi to the bone, so he wanted to participate in what the Chen ancestor had said. Elder Wang, can you call Song over? I have something to talk to her about. He Luodong said after a moment of silence. Guest Song. Leader, are you going to let her? Elder Wang also read the invitation and letter from Elder Chen. He knew what He Luodong was thinking. Yes, I've thought about it. Only Song is familiar with the Central Plains, and her strength is not a problem. He Luodong nodded. Chapter 3374. If you have something to say, just say it. He Luonan could tell that Elder Wang was implying something. But, this Elder Wang was one of them, so there was nothing to hide. Yes. Elder Wang nodded. After pondering for a moment, he cautiously said, President, even though guest Elder Song owes us a favor, you must have forgotten that her identity is extraordinary. If we were to request for her help, it would be fine if it's a small matter, but if it's a big matter, shouldn't we consult the Honorary Great Elder of the Overseas Cultivators Association? If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. He Luonan suddenly realized. In the association, there was an Honorary Grand Elder who was also a training maniac. These years, he had used the association's resources to break through again and again, and now he was at Sky Class late phase peak full circle. When He Luonan first came here, he was only a mystic late phase peak. But after receiving the resources, this person had been progressing rapidly. He was a rare training genius. But, this person's strength was special, and He Luonan didn't dare to restrict him too much. So, he gave him the title of Honorary Grand Elder. He didn't ask about the association's affairs, and only trained in isolation every day, trying to find an opportunity to step into the heavenly law. Of course, the association didn't have any use for him at the moment. Even He Luonan hadn't seen this person for a few years. If Chairman Wang didn't mention it, he would have forgotten about it. There was a reason why he mentioned the honorary Grand Elder at this time. This honorary Grand Elder's name was Song Xianghua, and it was said that he was Guest Song's second grandfather. This made He Luonan feel that a tiger had no grandchildren. His entire family was a top-level master. Of course, this news hadn't been confirmed, and no one dared to ask Song Xianghua about such a small matter. As for Guest Elder Song, she was just a guest elder of the Overseas Cultivators Association. She was even more distant than the honorary elders. Her profession was an assassin and mercenary, and she was usually not in the association. She would only come if there was a major event. However, when there was a major event, it was even more impossible for anyone to ask about it. How about this? Invite Guest Elder Song here, and I'll ask her. If she really is Great Elder Song's granddaughter, I'll bring her to meet Great Elder Song. He Luodong had to be careful. Although Song Xianghua was his subordinate, their strength was equal. In the world of practitioners, strength spoke louder. This last matter will have to be used sooner or later. Besides, she is a mercenary and an assassin. She is not like us. Even if she has reached the peak of external martial arts and is considered a practitioner, she will not join us. Since he would have to use this opportunity sooner or later, he might as well use it now. I'm using her this time because I'm afraid that my big brother won't be able to kill that Lin Yi. That Lin Yi was extremely strange. If that little fool and the heavenly silkworm transformation were not his match, wouldn't that mean that Lin Yi would be able to leave alive? But with honored Guest Song, a peak late-stage heaven stage external sect assassin, Lin Yi will definitely die. Oh, that's true. Then I'll go invite honored Guest Song. Elder Wang nodded. In the afternoon, President Wang returned, and with him came a young girl who looked to be 18 or 19 years old. She looked like a sunny and beautiful student, wearing a t-shirt, hot pants, and sunglasses. Walking in the crowd, the only thing that could attract people's attention was that she was pretty, and from other aspects, it was really hard to tell that she was a female killer. Seeing honored Guest Song come in, He Luodong did not dare to be arrogant. He stood up and greeted, honored Guest Song, you're here. Welcome, welcome. President He, are you looking for me for the third matter? Honored Guest Song smiled and did not bother with pleasantries. After this matter is over, I won't be honored Guest Song anymore. He Luodong's face froze for a moment. He laughed dryly and said, even if you're not our honored guest elder, we are both practitioners from overseas. We are still friends. Say it, what's the matter? Honored Guest Song did not say anything else and asked directly. The matter? Before I say it, I want to ask if honored Guest Song has any intention of returning to the Central Plains? He Luodong asked. Return to the Central Plains? Huaxia. Honored Guest Song was stunned. Yes, Huaxia. He Luodong said and handed the invitation letter given to him by ancestor Shen Chen to honored Guest Song. Then he said, honored Guest Song, take a look at this invitation letter first. Oh, invitation letter? Where is it from? Honored Guest Song was slightly stunned. Then he took the letter from He Luodong and looked at it. The Heaven Class Trial? Initiated by the Five Elements Sect? Ancient Sect? Honored Guest Song was obviously not very clear about the division of powers in the Central Plains, but he had a general idea of the framework. Yes, and it is the most powerful sect among the ancient sects. He Luodong nodded and said, honored Guest Song, can you participate in this trial? Why me? Honored Guest Song did not answer, but asked a question instead. Well, I want you to find a chance to kill someone in the trial. If you agree, I will tell you in detail, He Luodong said. However, isn't this mission a little too far away? Honored Guest Song slightly frowned. Moreover, according to the rules set by the King of Assassins, it is against the rules for our assassins to appear in Huaxia without permission. President He, you should know who the King of Assassins is, right? Of course I know. He is one of the famous killer Vajra duo. He Luodong laughed dryly and said, honored Guest Song is a relative of Great Elder Song Xianghua. Honored guest Song slightly raised his eyebrows and looked at He Luodong with a smile that was not a smile. President He, you are really well informed. Yes, he is my second grandfather. As far as I know, Great Elder Song is from the Central Plains. You can use the excuse of going home to visit your family. There are no restrictions, right? Even if it is the killer Vaja duo, they can't control that much, right? He Luodong smiled. Moreover, there has been no news of the killer Vaja duo for a long time. Honored guest Song thought for a moment and said, "Come with me to see my second grandfather. I will ask him what he has to say." That is exactly what I was thinking. Honored guest Song, please follow me. He Luodong made an inviting gesture. The place where Song Xianghua went into seclusion was located in the Overseas Cultivators Association. It was a villa with its own courtyard. He Luodong brought honored guest Song to the front of the villa, but he did not rashly enter. Instead, he raised his voice and said, "Is Great Elder Song here? I have something to discuss with him." Chapter 3375. He Luo and guest Song entered the villa. Song Xianghua was already sitting on the sofa in the living room to welcome them. President He, welcome. Hey, Xiao Rui, why are you here? Song Xianghua was surprised to see guest Chamberlain Song at the side. Second Grandpa, I came to find you today because of my own business. Guest Song, who was called Xiao Rui, said respectfully. Oh, tell me, why are you looking for me? Song Xianghua nodded. His current attitude was very good. If it was only President He would not have said so much. Let me explain. He Lun Duan smiled and took over the conversation. Then, he smiled and said, "This is what happened." Saying this, He Luo Duan explained everything, including the matter of sending guest Elder Song to kill someone. Oh, the Central Plains of China. Song Xianghua's eyes flashed with a strong sense of nostalgia. I haven't been back for a long time. I wonder how my family is. Xiao Rui, I will accompany you this time. He Luo was overjoyed when he heard that Song Xianghua was going back. If Song Xianghua joined in, wouldn't Lin Yi be dead for sure? Great Elder Song, are you going to join in too? He Luo asked carefully. I won't join in. Xiao Rui's strength is enough for her to participate in the trial. I will be a laughingstock if I join at my age. Besides, there should be an age limit for this trial, right? Song Xianghua said lightly. Although there was no age limit for this trial, He Luo did not insist since Song Xianghua said so. He could also see that He Luo was not interested. Alright, then Great Elder Song agrees to let guest Song help. Xiao Rui owes you a favor. She should help. You don't have to ask for my opinion. Song Xianghua shook his head and said, Alright, President He, if there's nothing else, I'll be leaving with Xiao Rui. I'll be going back for a long time this time. We'll meet again someday. Whether Xiao Rui's mission is successful or not, it has nothing to do with us. I want her to live with me for a while longer and feel the atmosphere of her hometown. This, of course, no problem. He Luonan was stunned for a moment, then he nodded. He Luonan didn't want Song Xianghua and guest Song to go back. Who knew if Song Xianghua would come back in the future? But he couldn't refuse. Facing a peak late-stage heaven rank master, He Luonlan was under a lot of pressure. He didn't have the confidence to win. Even if Song Xianghua stayed, it would be a lose-lose situation. Furthermore, he had fought the Red Conch's general manager head-on and had yet to recover from his injuries. He did not dare to act rashly now. That's good, then we'll take our leave. Xiao Rui, stay here and help second grandpa pack his things, Song Xianghua said to guest Song. This was equivalent to asking He Luonan to leave. First Elder Song, I'll take my leave. See you again. He Luonan smiled bitterly and turned to leave. As for the details of guest Elder Song's mission, I will call him later. He Luonan didn't have the chance to tell Song Xianghua about the details of the mission before Song Xianghua asked him to stay. He could only choose to talk about it later. Xiao Rui, I didn't expect you to be a peak late-stage heaven rank master at such a young age. When we return to the Song family this time, the Song family status will definitely reach the ancient level. The Song family will become an ancient family. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Song Xianghua's face suddenly showed a trace of deep fascination and nostalgia. When he was young, he left home in pursuit of cultivation. Thinking of the determination in his eyes before he left, and his big brother's reluctance and deep worry, Song Xianghua suddenly felt a little sad. At that time, Song Xianghua didn't know how important a mystic classmaster was to a secular family. Or rather, he didn't want to think about these things at all. At that time, all he wanted was strength and a higher level of cultivation. But as he grew older and joined the Overseas Cultivators Association, he saw and felt too many things, too many people's fickleness. Song Xianghua finally understood how difficult it was for his big brother at that time. It wasn't easy for an aristocratic family without a powerful expert to continue standing. However, he couldn't tell his big brother about his current situation. In fact, it was the same in the Overseas Cultivators Association. When he was young, he used the Overseas Cultivators Association's resources, and his strength rose steadily. In fact, it was equivalent to selling himself to the Overseas Cultivators Association. He lost his freedom. Even if he was a Song family member, he couldn't go back. Just like Tang Yuqi, if he escaped without permission, the consequences would be unimaginable. Because Tang Yuqi was lucky, there was a master protecting him. But for Song Xianghua, if he returned to the Song family, what awaited him would be a life and death struggle. Therefore, he didn't let Xiao Rui tell the Song family about his situation. In fact, the Song family didn't even know about Xiao Rui's own situation. Because the assassin group also had the assassin group's rules, they had to strictly keep her identity a secret with her family. Even if she wanted to retire, it was impossible without a strong person's order. The assassin group behind Xiao Rui would never let her go easily. But now, it was different. He had stepped into the peak of heaven rank, and so was Xiao Rui. At this moment, the two of them joined forces to leave this place and return to the Song family in the central plains of China. Even if those people weren't happy, they had to worry about their strength. As long as the two of them didn't really leave the organization, whether it was He Luonan or the people behind Xiao Rui, they wouldn't dare to act recklessly. They could stay in the central plains of China for a period of time, and even go back for a period of time every year. This way, they could take care of the organization behind them, and also improve the Song family's overall strength. All these years, I've let the Song family down. Maybe the Song family didn't have it easy. The other families are suppressing us, right? Song Xianghua, thinking of the past, tears streamed down his face. Second grandpa, actually, you don't know, my sister is also very powerful. She is now a peak earth rank master. Xiao Rui quickly comforted. Chapter 3376. Yes, but I heard from her that her boyfriend is very powerful. I don't know what method he used to improve her strength. But if this person wants to be my brother-in-law, he has to go through me first. If he can't even beat me, then he should get lost. Xiao Rui didn't seem to be interested in her sister's boyfriend. Xiao Rui, don't mess around. What's your strength? How many people in the world of cultivation can be your opponent? In the world of assassins, you're a rare existence. Except for the person who disappeared that year, you should be the #1 assassin in the world of assassins, right? If it wasn't for the chance to inherit the power of the spirit beast, do you think you can smoothly step into the peak of the late stage of heaven stage? Moreover, you're at the peak of physical cultivation. Your second grandpa is talented in cultivation. With the help of the elixirs from the Overseas Cultivators Association, I only stepped into the peak of the late stage of heaven stage at the age of 60. Do you think everyone is a cultivation genius? Do you expect Xiao Shan's boyfriend to beat you? Especially since you're an assassin, you're more powerful than the peak of the late stage of heaven stage. In addition, you're an expert in physical cultivation. You're good at speed and strength. Don't bully others. Song Xianghua lectured, don't mess up your sister's business. Look at you. You don't look like a top master. Hihi, I'm just saying. Everyone else is. The sister-in-law is half of the brother-in-law's butt. If he's too weak, how can he protect half of his butt? Xiao Rui said with a smile. Your sister isn't getting married to you. It's fine as long as he can protect your sister. Are you going to marry him too? Song Xianghua put on a serious face and took out the dignity of an elder. You and I haven't gone back for a long time. When we go back, don't criticize the Song family's affairs. Otherwise, if my brother sees us, he might think that we're capable and come back to take over the Song family. That won't be good. Do you hear me? Xiao Rui? Ah. Xiao Rui made a face. That's not necessarily true. When I was young, my sister always told me that if there's a good man, she'll give him to me first. What if she gives him to me? How can you remember children's words? Xiao Rui, how old are you? Song Xianghua glared at her. I'm just joking. Okay, second grandpa, when are we going back? I'm dying to go home, Xiaosu said anxiously. We will depart tomorrow. You should pack your things first and come here to meet me tomorrow morning, Song Xianghua instructed. All right, second grandpa, see you tomorrow. After saying that, Xiao Rui floated out of the window like a gust of wind. She was as fast as she could be. It was rare to see a physical master at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage. Her speed was even faster than the purple electric storm beast. He Luodan returned to his room with an ugly expression. Elder Wang quickly greeted him. President, what happened? Your complexion doesn't look too good. Sigh. Don't mention it. He Luodan waved his hand with a gloomy expression. After Guest Song leaves for the mission, I'm afraid he will no longer be our Overseas Cultivators Association's guest elder. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that. After all, our people helped her before. She helped us 3 times to repay our kindness. This is the 3rd time, so she has nothing to do with it. However, Grand Elder Song Xianghua is also going back to the Central Plains. I'm afraid that once he leaves, who knows when he will return. What? Grand Elder Song is leaving too? Elder Wang was shocked. Then, you didn't dissuade him? How could I dissuade him? He's not an ordinary person. He's at the same level as me. How could I threaten him? In our Overseas Cultivators Association, I'm the only one at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage. Moreover, I'm injured. Do you think I'd dare to act rashly? He Luodan shook his head gloomily. Forget it. We can only blame ourselves for the fact that our Overseas Cultivators Association was established too recently. We don't have many masters and we don't have much sense of belonging to the sect. All these years, we've been using cultivation resources to tie them down. Otherwise, we would have disbanded a long time ago. Sigh, that's true. However, now that Elder Song Mingyu has left, we no longer have anything to do with Guest Elder Song anymore. The strength of our Overseas Cultivators Association has suddenly become much weaker. Elder Wang sighed. Forget it. I'll think of a way in the future. Let's see if my brother can help me. If it doesn't work, I'll turn our association into a branch of the 5 Elements sect. President, he suffered a huge blow today. President, you don't have to be so pessimistic. Things will get better. Elder Wang said. I hope so. He Luodan nodded helplessly. After Xiao Rui settled her matters in the assassin organization, she went to her second grandfather Song Xianghua's villa the next morning. Although the assassin group behind her also tried their best to retain her, Xiao Rui's strength was there. They did not dare to do anything to her. They could only tell her to finish her task and come back as soon as possible if possible. Second grandfather, I'm ready. Shall I go back now? Xiao Rui was a little excited and expectant. After all, she was a young person. She hadn't gone back for a long time. Her emotions were written all over her face. Well, let's go now. Song Xianghua was also ready. He had already booked the plane tickets. He picked up his luggage and got into a black Mercedes-Benz with Xiao Rui. This was arranged by He Luodan. Although he didn't want Song Xianghua to leave, he had to abide by the etiquette. Otherwise, Song Xianghua would have a reason not to come back. President He? You're here too? After Xiao Rui got into the car, she suddenly realized that He Luodan was sitting in the front passenger seat of the car. Grand Elder Song and Guest Song are returning home in glory. Naturally, I have to send you off warmly. He Luodan smiled and said, I've put some cultivation elixirs in the car as a gift before we leave. President He, you're welcome. Xiao Rui smiled and nodded. She accepted it with a smile. Of course, she didn't feel guilty. In fact, in the Devil's Trial, the Overseas Cultivator Association helped her. One mission was enough to repay them. However, Xiao Rui was also a person who knew how to repay kindness. That was why she increased the mission to 3 times. She also became a guest elder of the Overseas Cultivator Association. In fact, these things were what she deserved. This is the information of the person you need to kill. He Luodan handed a piece of information to Xiao Rui and said, I believe that Guest Song should have heard of this person. Chapter 3377. Yes, that's him. He Luon nodded. He's just a middle-stage heaven stage expert. Is there a need to gather so much information? Xiao Rui shook her head when she saw Lin Yi's strength. Guest Song, don't underestimate him. This Lin Yi is someone who can call the wind and summon the rain in the world of practitioners in the Central Plains. It's said that he can instantly kill masters with the strength of Sky-class late-phase peak. However, when he was overseas, he didn't manage to do that. Perhaps it's because he's not acclimatized, or maybe it's because of other reasons. But his name in the Central Plains world of practitioners is like thunder to the ears. He Lun Duan said, I won't hide it from you, Guest Song. My brother is the acting head of the 5 Elements sect, and is also the one who started this heaven-class trials. He also wants to kill Lin Yi, so he sent 2 Sky-class late-phase peak spiritual masters. One is the sect leader of the Heavenly Elixir sect. His name is Heavenly Silkworm Transformation. He just broke through the peak late-stage heaven stage. The other is his disciple, Xiao He's a famous top expert at the peak late-stage heaven stage. These 2 people can kill Lin Yi together, but they don't have absolute confidence. That's why I'm asking you to help. Is Lin Yi that powerful? Xiao Rui was a little shocked when she heard He Luon's words. That's right. This information has detailed records of Lin Yi. You have to read it carefully. He Luon nodded seriously. This information was compiled by ancestor Xian Chen. It didn't exaggerate or belittle Lin Yi. It truthfully recorded some things that happened after Lin Yi's debut. Of course, some of these things were based on guesses. There were no witnesses, so they were all marked with question marks to indicate that they were not verified. However, even so, it was enough to shock Xiao Rui. Lin Yi was really a ruthless person in the Central Plains cultivation world. President He, I'll be careful. Xiao Rui secretly clicked her tongue. At this moment, she finally saw Lin Yi as an opponent. That person had offended so many powerful figures in the cultivation world of the Central Plains, yet he was still alive and well. That in itself spoke of a problem. Moreover, the 5 Elements sect had been scheming to kill Lin Yi, but they couldn't find a way to do so. Instead, several people had died. This also showed that Lin Yi was not easy to deal with. Well, just be careful. He Luonan saw that Guest Song was finally looking at his opponent seriously, and felt relieved. The car slowly drove to the airport. He Luowu left after sending them to the security checkpoint, while Song Xianghua and Xiao Rui boarded the plane to Beijing. The foundation of the Song family was in Yangjing City. In the past, House Song, House Liu, and House Chen weren't the most prominent families in Yangjing, but with House Yu in front of them, they were too dazzling. These 3 families became the background. However, ever since House Yu fell, after Lin Yi established the Cultivator Alliance, the lives of these aristocratic families became much better. There were no more conflicts and suppression between them. Everyone became allies and moved forward together. This was the case with House Song. The head of House Song, Song Xiangwen. It was much better than before. Now, House Song had taken over some of House Yu's businesses in Yangjing. Even now, even the hidden houses didn't dare to act rashly in front of Song Xiangwen. There was no other reason than that Song Lingshan had an ambiguous boyfriend, Lin Yi. With Lin Yi around, who would be stupid enough to mess with House Song? Wasn't that looking for death? A taxi stopped at the entrance of an alley. This alley was all House Song's property. It was considered private territory. Of course, taxis couldn't go in. The alley was blocked. Song Xianghua got out of the car with Xiao Rui and walked into the alley. He was dressed very differently, like the upper-class attire of the 30s and 40s. He wore a top hat, a long robe, and gold-rimmed glasses. This style of dressing made many passers-by stop. Of course, there were many extras nowadays, especially in a place like Yangjing. Who knew if Song Xianghua was an actor or not? Both of you, this is private territory. You can't go in. If you're here for sightseeing, please turn around. Song Xianghua and Xiao Rui had just entered the alley when a disciple of House Song stopped them. You're from House Song? Song Xianghua stopped and looked at the grass and trees here. It was just like 40 years ago when he left. However, he didn't recognize this young disciple in front of him. Yes. You know House Song? The disciple froze. Yes. My name is Song Xianghua. Song Xianghua wasn't annoyed by the disciple's obstruction. He smiled and said, I'm the head of your house, Song Xiangwen's younger brother. Ah! The disciple heard Song Xianghua's words and was stunned. You're telling the truth. If what second grandpa said is not true, then what I said is not true either. Xiao Rui walked over and took off her sunglasses. She glared at the disciple. You're second miss. That disciple had seen Xiao Rui 5 years ago. At that time, Xiao Rui was only 14 years old. This year, she was already 19 years old. She had not been home for 5 years, but she still looked the same. Her voice had not changed much, so the disciple recognized her immediately. Second elder master, second young lady, please come in. I'm sorry. Hihi, it's okay. I don't blame you. It'd be weird if you knew me. Song Xianghua waved his hand and said indifferently, Is my big brother here? Second grandpa, I'll take you to see the head of the house. The disciple said quickly. Okay. Lead the way. Song Xianghua smiled and nodded. The disciple walked in front of them respectfully and led them to a courtyard house in the innermost part of the alley. There was someone guarding the door. It was an old man with a slightly hunched back. He was a master at the peak of the late phase of golden class. Song Xiaowu, why did you bring people here without permission? Don't you know the rules here? The old man's face darkened as he scolded. Old butler, these two are. The disciple called Song Xiaowu tried to explain. Xiong Da? Are you Xiong Da? Song Xianghua looked at the old man in front of him, and his eyes flashed with excitement. You are. The old butler called Xiong Da turned to look at Song Xianghua with a hint of suspicion in his eyes. I'm Xiong Hua, Song Xianghua said excitedly. It was no wonder that Song Xiangda didn't recognize Song Xianghua. Song Xiangda didn't expect him to come back. After all, there had been no news of him for so many years. Song Xiangda even thought that he would never see Song Xianghua in this life. It was just like a poem, leaving home when I was young and coming back when I was old, my accent never changes. Chapter 3378. But to Song Xianghua, Song Xiangda was his and his big brother Song Xiangwen's follower when they were young. He was like a little brother to Song Xianghua. His face still looked the same as when he was young, and the only person close to his big brother was him. That was why Song Xianghua guessed that this person might be Song Xiangda. Xianghua? Second young master? Song Xiangda's face showed an expression of disbelief. You're Xianghua's second young master? Second young master, you're back? Third grandpa, you don't recognize me? Xiao Rui walked over at this time. It's Miss Ling Ran. You're back too? Song Xiangda's way of addressing them was a bit messy. He still called Song Xianghua the same way he called him when he was young, but he called Xiao Rui the way a housekeeper would call a big house. Yes, I came back with second grandpa. Song Lingrui nodded. She was Lingshan's sister. So it's the second miss who found the second young master, second master. Song Xiangda nodded in realization and changed the way he addressed Song Xianghua to second master. He had already thought of the age difference between him and Song Xianghua. Second master, come with me quickly. If master sees you, he will definitely be very happy. Okay, I miss my big brother too. Song Xianghua nodded. How has House Song been all these years? How are you and my big brother? Second master, we're all fine. Master is now a master at the peak of the late phase of the golden class, and so am I, Song Xiangda said, Although I can't say that we're at the top of the aristocratic families, at least we made it through. Of course, this year is even better because the secular families formed the Cultivator Alliance, so there's not much pressure. Man, I came back late. If I came back earlier, it would be easier for you guys. Song Xianghua blamed himself, but it's okay. This time, Xiao Rui and I are back. We'll make House Song famous in the Central Plains. We'll become an existence no weaker than the ancient noble houses. Ah! Song Xiangda listened to Song Xianghua's words and paused for a moment before nodding. Yes, second elder, you were a mystic late-phase peak when you left. I'm afraid you've already broken through to Earth class after all these years, right? Second grandpa is now a peak late-stage heaven stage expert. Song Lingrui interrupted. What? Song Xiangda was shocked and shouted. He was stunned on the spot and couldn't speak. Song Xiangwen, who was in the room in the courtyard, heard Song Xiangda's exclamation. Song Xiangwen, who had just come out of the room, said, Laro-san, why are you shouting? What happened? Master, you're here? Good news, good news. Old Master Xianghua is back. Song Xiangda shouted excitedly. Not only that, according to the second miss, the second master's strength has already broken through to the peak of the late stage of heaven rank. Third brother, are you saying that second brother is back? Xiao Rui also came back. They're all back. After Song Xiangwen heard this, he was shocked and quickly walked over. Seeing Song Xianghua and Song Lingrui standing beside Song Xiangda, Song Xiangwen suddenly burst into tears. Laro-san, you're finally back. Big brother, I'm sorry. I didn't know any better when I was young. I left just like that. Song Xianghua lowered his head with some guilt. At this moment, he was no longer the high and mighty Grand Elder of the Overseas Cultivators Association, nor was he a top cultivator. He was like a child who did something wrong. It's okay, it's okay. It's good that you're back. Song Xiangwen smiled and patted Song Xianghua's shoulder, just like when he was young, full of love and kindness. Yes, I'm back. Only now did I realize how important home is to me. Song Xianghua sighed. Right, Laro-san, I just heard from Laro-san that you're now a peak late-stage heaven stage expert. Song Xiangwen suddenly remembered what Song Xiangda said before. Yes, big brother, it's not just me. Your precious granddaughter is the same as me. She's also a peak late-stage heaven stage expert. Song Xianghua said with a smile, even I can't say that I can beat her. What? Xiao Rui? You're also a peak late-stage heaven stage expert? And you're a peak external expert? Song Xiangwen said in shock. I'm sorry, Grandpa. I hid it from you before. It's the organization's rules. I can't reveal this to my family. Song Lingrui stuck out her tongue in embarrassment. Second Grandpa is the Grand Elder of the Overseas Cultivators Association. I'm also the Foreign Elder of the Overseas Cultivators Association. That's why he knows. Oh. Then now you guys. Song Xiangwen was slightly stunned after listening. Then, are you guys going back? Actually, we're coming back now because of our strength. The organization behind us doesn't dare to offend us easily. Song Xianghua explained, especially since Xiao Rui and I are related. We're a family. 2 peak late-stage heaven stage experts working together is enough to shock the overseas cultivation world. So now that we're back, they won't dare to say anything. They won't do anything to us as long as we go back for a period of time every year. Of course, we can stay here for the rest of the time. That's really great. Song Xiangwen said happily. Oh yes, second brother, I'm not surprised that you can become a peak late-stage heaven stage expert. Because you've been a martial arts fanatic since you were young. Every day, you've been cultivating. I understand that. But Xiao Rui, how did you become a top expert? Moreover, you're a top external expert. It's said that there are very few external experts who can cultivate to peak late-stage heaven stage expert. At least, I haven't heard of it yet. It's a coincidence. Song Lingrui pondered for a moment and didn't say the reason. There were too many inside stories involved. The fewer people who knew, the better. Song Lingrui didn't want to implicate her family. Although this matter seemed to be settled for the time being, who knew that those people wouldn't settle the score? Song Xiangwen thought that Song Lingrui couldn't say it because of the rules of the organization behind her, so he didn't ask much. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Our Song family is really blessed. It's just that your sister isn't at home. If she were at home, she would be very happy. Chapter 3379. Xiaorui, don't mess around. You're a top-notch master now, why are you still so naughty? Your brother-in-law is House Song's benefactor and also your sister's choice, it's not up to you to decide. Song Xiangwen quickly said. He was very concerned about things that involved Lin Yi. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, House Song wouldn't have its current status. He's a man and he's still not my opponent. He's not worthy of my sister. Song Lingrui wanted to see the world in chaos. Even if he can't beat me, he should at least tie with me, right? Your sister is very busy now, I don't know if she has time to come back. Let's talk about it when she's free. Song Xiangwen had a headache. He knew that Song Lingrui was a little like a little witch. Although he heard from Lingshan that Lin Yi was now a sky-class mid-phase, it was impossible for him to fight against a sky-class late-phase peak full circle. What Song Xiangwen knew about Lin Yi was limited to the noble house level. At most, he knew a little on the hidden level. As for the ancient level, he really didn't have any information channels, so he didn't know that Lin Yi had shaken the entire Huaxia practitioner world. So, he was afraid that Lin Yi would be beaten up by Song Lingrui. That wouldn't be good. No matter what, Lin Yi was House Song's benefactor and someone Lingshan liked. How could he be beaten up by Song Lingrui? So, Song Xiangwen was afraid that Song Lingrui would cause trouble for Lin Yi in private. He didn't even dare to say Lin Yi's name. He could only evade, hoping that Song Lingrui would forget about it in a few days. Alright, I'll call her myself later. Song Lingrui didn't want to give up. Second miss, second master, I've already ordered the kitchen to prepare a sumptuous banquet. Let's go. Song Xiangda also saw that Song Xiangwen didn't want to talk about Lin Yi, so he changed the topic. That's great. I haven't eaten home food for a long time, I'm drooling. Is there any Yang Jing roast duck? Song Lingrui's mouth watered when she heard that there was going to be a sumptuous banquet. Yes, second missy, the chef downstairs is baking. Song Xiangda nodded and said. Then what are you waiting for? I want to eat, I want to eat. Sure enough, Song Lingrui temporarily forgot about finding trouble with Lin Yi, which made Song Xiangwen feel relieved. These days, the hidden Tang family had not been living well. Among the hidden families, other than the Zhao family, who had a grudge against Lin Yi, there was also the Yu family, who had a close relationship with Lin Yi. Among the other families, the weakest was the hidden Tang family. The relationship between the hidden Tang family and Lin Yi was very subtle. Tang Boss's daughter, Tang Yun, was Lin Yi's girlfriend. However, Tang Boss broke off the father-daughter relationship with Tang Yun and even chased away Tang Yun's biological mother, Xiao Ming. In this way, the hidden Tang family broke off their relationship with Lin Yi. If it wasn't for the friendship between Tang Yun and Lin Yi, the Tang family would probably be in an even more awkward situation. Although Tang Boss went to Snow Valley and obtained Tang Yun's forgiveness, it was only forgiveness. It could only mean that Tang Yun or Lin Yi couldn't find trouble with the hidden Tang family in the future. However, it was impossible to obtain any benefits from them. Originally, if there were no accidents, it would be good enough that this relationship could be maintained. After all, the Tang family had their own businesses and properties. As long as Lin Yi and Tang Yun didn't find trouble with them, they could live well. However, now, someone had their eyes on the hidden Tang family. Several of the hidden Tang family's properties near the Tang family fortress had been robbed. Moreover, the robbers were a group of people similar to death warriors. They didn't communicate with others at all and directly started robbing. Moreover, their strength was very strong, enough to fight against a Heaven Stage Master. Although Tang Taizhong was an early stage Heaven Stage Master, he was surrounded and beaten up by a group of Heaven Stage Masters. Not only did he not gain the upper hand, but he was also seriously injured. This made everyone in the Tang family feel gloomy. Tang Taizhong was lying on a wheelchair. Beside him were his eldest son, Tang Boss, his second son, and his grandson, Tang Yun. Everyone, Tell me, what should we do? Where did this group of people come from? A large group of death warriors with heaven stage strength came to rob our Tang family's properties. If this continues, won't our Tang family be robbed clean? Who knows when they will come to our Tang family's base camp to commit murder? I can't stop them even if I want to. Tang Taizong's face was gloomy. The Tang family had become a hidden aristocratic family and had been powerful for hundreds of years. Who would have thought that they would be bullied? I think the most important thing is to find out where these people came from. If they are from the hidden level, we will contact the Hidden Aristocratic Family Arbitration Association and then reveal it to a few powerful ancient sects and ask them to make a decision. Tang Boss said after thinking about it. The hidden level can't have so many heaven stage masters. If there were, then it wouldn't be a hidden level anymore. They would all be in the ancient level. Tang Taizong shook his head. Moreover, that Hidden Aristocratic Family Arbitration Association only exists in name. It's useless to respond. How about we go to Snow Valley and ask for Elder Tang Yun's help? Tang Yun's second son thought about it and said, in the end, Tang Yun is Big Brother's daughter, my niece. She can't just watch as the Tang family is in trouble, right? No. You didn't see Xiao Ming's attitude towards me. Last time when I went with Yu, if it wasn't for Yu, she would have kicked us out. That's already extremely benevolent. How could she stand up for us? Tang Big Bro knew his own limits. He knew that asking Tang Yun for help at this time wouldn't have much of an effect. Moreover, Tang Yun is only an elder of Snow Valley. In the end, she still has the Grand Elder and the Valley Master. With her current strength, even if she makes a move, she won't be a match for those people. That's true. Tang Yun nodded. But this won't do, that won't do. Won't our Tang family be in danger? How about? Tang Yu hesitated and said, we ask the Supernatural Investigation Bureau for help. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau? Tang Taizong shook his head. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau only administers and coordinates the aristocratic families. With their strength, they can't interfere with the matters of the hidden level. What's the use of asking them? Chapter 3380. All right. Tang Taizong nodded. Find out where these people came from, and why they're targeting us, the hidden house, and then come up with a countermeasure. Then, who's going to make the call? Boss Tang felt that this was a good idea, at least find out where these people came from first. I'll make the call myself. Boss Tang didn't give a damn about the investigation department before, but now, to show his sincerity, he had to make the call himself. This morning, Lin Yi had just woken up and was making breakfast for Shu and Xin Yang when he got a call from Ling Shan. Sweetheart, what are you doing? Ling Shan's voice was soft, and it triggered a physiological reaction in him. I say, Ling Shan, what are you doing so early in the morning? You don't need anything from me again, do you? Lin Yi subconsciously thought that Ling Shan had something to ask of him. Ling Shan had been very busy with work before, and Lin Yi had a lot of things to do as well. Lin Yi had found a chance to raise her strength to Earth-class late-phase peak, and Lin Yi had been busy with other things after that. He hadn't seen her since he came back. I got a promotion, Ling Shan said. Promotion? You're the chief now? Where's Jun Bro? Lin Yi paused. I'm still the vice chief, Ling Shan denied. Still the vice chief? What kind of promotion is that? Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Are you messing with me this early in the morning? Haha, no, I'm the vice chief of the investigation department, and the vice chief of the East Sea Police Department, Ling Shan explained. Ling Shan explained. Right now, my position as the vice director is even more important than a normal director's position. Wherever I go, people have to listen to my orders and orders. Why'd you go to the investigation department? And you're the vice chief. Uncle Feng's your subordinate now? Lin Yi found it weird this change in position was too big. After all, the investigation department had a lot of authority. Director Feng is my direct superior. He got promoted, and the old Chief Xia was getting old, so he was transferred to another department to be a leader. He's no longer in a dangerous position like this. Ling Shan said. Isn't it because you increased my strength that I'm here? I've become an Earth-class late-phase peak master, And I'm from a worldly family. They've been keeping in touch with the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, and now they've captured me to be their able-bodied man. Phut. What about Chen Tian and the others? If Ling Shan was going, wouldn't Chen Tian be going too? Wu Chentian didn't agree. He said he'd wait for you to come back and ask for your opinion. He's just an instructor in name. Ling Shan explained. I'm different from him. I'm part of the system, and I'm the vice director of the police station. I have to obey my superior's orders, but Wu Chentian is different. I see. Lin Yi nodded, but he wasn't too interested in the position. You're looking for me, but I'm not interested. You're talking about this? No, we received a report from the Hidden House this morning, and Director Feng hasn't agreed to help them yet, so he asked for my opinion first. That's why I called you first. Ling Shan said weakly. Phut. Lin Yi didn't know what to say. Uncle Feng asked for your opinion, why are you asking for mine? This is an internal matter. Isn't it, because it involves the Hidden House? You and Tang Yuyu from their house, don't you know each other? Isn't she familiar? Ling Shan suddenly remembered that she couldn't talk about Tang Yun, so she pushed Tang Yuyu out. What's going on? Plus, aren't the hidden houses not under the jurisdiction of the investigation department? Lin Yi was confused. Actually, after Uncle Feng took over the position, he wanted to bring the hidden houses under the jurisdiction of the investigation department. You know these uncertainties, and if we don't control them, they might do things that go against the rules of the world. Ling Shan said. This is an opportunity. Director Feng doesn't want to miss it, but things are troublesome. It'll be fine if we handle it well, but if we don't, we'll lose face, and it'll have the opposite effect. Hidden houses, huh? It's good to integrate them. Lin Yi said faintly. Uncle Feng is right, this is an opportunity, and if we use it well, it won't be hard to integrate the hidden houses. Once this is done, send a notice to those hidden houses and normal sects in the name of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and the Central Plains Cultivators Alliance. Tell them to join the Central Plains Cultivators Alliance and be under the control of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and me. This will bring about benefits as well. When they're in trouble, I'll help them. If they don't want to, then they'll be my enemies. Ling Shan didn't expect Lin Yi to support her like this. She was very touched. Lin Yi, you're a good man. Thank you, I don't even know how to repay you. Actually, I have a lot of connections with the investigation department. I've trained there before, and no matter what, you and Uncle Feng are the closest people to me. Who else would I help if not you? Lin Yi smiled. Tell me, what happened to the hidden house? This has something to do with the case I've been investigating. Lin Yi, do you remember that unsolved bank robbery? Ling Shan said. Bank robbery? I think it was Jian Wen who did it. Lin Yi said straightforwardly. Only he could make those weird puppets to rob banks and jewelry stores. That's what you say, but I'm a police. I can't do anything without evidence. Plus, he's not doing it anymore, and I can't find any clues. Ling Shan sighed helplessly. But this case with the hidden Tang house isn't that different from the bank robbery. What do you mean? Lin Yi asked, interested. Chapter 3381. This is similar to the jewelry store and bank robberies, as well as the kidnapping case. You're saying that this is all Jian Wen's doing? Lin Yi asked directly. Whether or not it's Jian Wen's doing, we don't know yet, but I feel like these cases are very similar. We can investigate them together. Plus, it's beyond the police. The department is taking over now. Ling Shan said, the main problem is that in our department, the strongest practitioners are just me and Wu Chentian, who's just an outsider. We're not a match for those death warriors at all. You're saying that you want me to help? Lin Yi finally understood why Ling Shan was calling. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Ling Shan was a little embarrassed. Do you have time? When do we leave? Lin Yi asked after some thought. The sooner the better. House Tang won't be able to hold on much longer. Ling Shan said. Let's leave today then. Lin Yi thought about it. He didn't have anything to do yet, and Yushu couldn't leave for the next 2 days. Lin Yi didn't have anything else to do either, so he agreed right away. That's great. Ling Shan was very excited. Lin Yi, I love you. This is great. I've just arrived at the department, And I've made a huge contribution. From now on, the hidden houses will be under the control of the department, and I'll be the founder. Lin Yi didn't know what to say, but he remembered that Lingshan was the type of person who cared a lot about achievements and glory. He'd help her if he could. Ian, come find me when you're ready. All right, you're a good man. Lingshan hung up happily. Lin Yi had to tell Yushu and Xinyan that he was going out, but this time, he planned on bringing Xinyan along. After 2 days of training, Lin Yi realized that Xinyan hadn't fainted at all. In fact, she was full of energy. In other words, the method of training while lying in the energy stones was very doable. Lin Yi would put the stones in the jade space to charge during the day, and take them out at night. Basically, the stones wouldn't lose any energy, and there wouldn't be a gap in time. Oh, it smells so good. I think Shield Bro made that pork porridge for me and Yao Yao. Yushu woke up and gasped at the sight of the pot of minced meat porridge in the dining room, her mouth watering. Seeing that Shu was back to normal, Lin Yi couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. It seemed like Shu had accepted the fact that she was going to Flaming Mountain. Xinyan woke up as well, but she wasn't as exaggerated as Yushu. She liked Lin Yi's cooking, but she didn't scream. She just sat at the table quietly and started serving porridge. I'm planning on going out for a bit. There's something I need to take care of. Shu, can you stay here? Lin Yi asked after some hesitation. What about Xinyan sis? Yushu didn't answer and asked instead. She's coming with me, Lin Yi said. Shu, you know that Xinyan can help me with my training. Then, can Shu come with you? Yushu raised her head and looked at Lin Yi. Shield Bro, this is the last time I'm going out with Shu, okay? Lin Yi looked at Shu's eyes and didn't have the heart to reject her. Shu was right, this might be the last time he was going to take her out. I'll give Xiaoke a call and we'll go. Xiaoke and Yu Dake went to the orphanage these 2 days. Xiaoke still couldn't bear to leave the orphanage, so she went with her brother to see if there was anything she could do. At the very least, she needed to tell Ken about the future development of the orphanage before she left. Xiaoke heard that Lin Yi was going out and naturally, she rushed back. In fact, the orphanage didn't need her to do much anymore. Her method of making money really wasn't suitable for the orphanage now. The orphanage needed to develop well in the long term, and stealing was definitely not a good idea. Fatty Lai hired a few financial experts to operate a welfare fund and invest all the money into the construction of the orphanage. This was the final development model. The main reason why Lin Yi brought Xiaoke was for safety. With Xiaoke's protection, Lin Yi was basically invincible in a fight with others. Lin Yi was ready when Lingshan drove over. Her car was still the cheetah, but after parking it in Lin Yi's villa, she got in Lin Yi's Grand Cherokee. Lin Yi's car was specially modified by the Supernatural Investigation Department. The performance and comfort were good, suitable for long-distance driving. Lin Yi looked at the valiant Lingshan, suddenly noticing that her chest seemed to have gotten a lot bigger. Did this girl get her breasts enlarged? Feeling Lin Yi's gaze, Lingshan was a little proud. How is it? You're about to surpass Shu, right? This was the happiest thing for Lingshan. Shu didn't like her in the past, and she thought that she wasn't inferior to Shu in any way except for the fact that her chest wasn't as big as Shu's. Although the two made up after Lin Yi got injured and fainted, Lingshan still wanted to surpass Yushu. After Lingshan joined the Supernatural Investigation Department, her routine training increased a lot. Lingshan was a spiritual practitioner, so she basically ignored the physical training that only physical practitioners would do. But the Supernatural Investigation Department had their own rules. Even Director Feng Tianlong had to participate in the routine training, so how could Lingshan be special? What Lingshan didn't expect, however, was that some of the routine training like push-ups and chin-ups actually helped her chest develop a second time. It was getting bigger and bigger, and now it was finally going to surpass Yushu's. I'm younger than you, I can still grow. Yushu said with disdain. Lingshan and Lingshan had made up, but the two still didn't see eye to eye. You're not as tall as me. If you grow any taller, you'll be too heavy, and you'll have to hold your weight when you go out. It's so tiring. Lingshan said sarcastically. All right, Lingshan, Shu, stop arguing. What's there to argue about? Look at how nice Xiaoke is, she doesn't mind. Lin Yi said, feeling a headache coming on. Thief sis, can you teach me how you got your chest enhancement? Xiaoke said weakly. Chapter 3382. Female Thief. Lingshan looked at Lin Yi, surprised. You told her? Yeah, she knows. Otherwise, she wouldn't be this close to me. You know her personality, don't you? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Oh. Lingshan nodded and didn't say anything else. The five got in the car. Yu Dake stayed at home to look after the house, and the car headed towards Hidden Tang's house. On the way, Lin Yi felt like he had been to Hidden Tang's house before, but at the same time, he felt like he hadn't been there. There were a few fragments in his memory, but they didn't fit together. This made Lin Yi a little confused. What was wrong with him? Ever since he went crazy, Lin Yi seemed to have forgotten a lot of things. Some of them seemed to be very important, but Lin Yi had no recollection of them at all. This made Lin Yi feel helpless, but there was nothing he could do about it. After all, Lin Yi didn't know what he'd forgotten. It was just a feeling, and even if he asked someone else, he wouldn't know how to ask. They wouldn't know what he'd forgotten, or what he'd remembered. Lin Yi didn't even know who he'd been with when he'd forgotten those memories. Hidden Tang's house, after hearing that the investigation department had taken over the case, they sent people to investigate as fast as they could. Tang Taizhong showed enough sincerity, sending eldest Tang to welcome them at the gate. Of course, from Tang Taizhong's point of view, sending his eldest son to greet the people from the investigation department was already giving them enough face. In the past, the investigation department didn't need the head of the house to greet them personally. The jeep slowly approached, and Lin Yi stopped the car beside eldest Tang. But when he saw that only one person from Hidden Tang's house came to greet them, he couldn't help but frown. Of course, Lin Yi wasn't someone who liked to put on airs, but the Hidden Tang's face wasn't for Lin Yi, but for the investigation department, for Lingshan and Tianlong. Their attitude made Lin Yi very unhappy. Lingshan saw that Boss Tang had come to greet them and wanted to get out of the car, but Lin Yi stopped her. Big Bro Tang was originally waiting for the people in the car to get off, but when he saw that the car had stopped for a long time and no one got off, he suddenly became a little annoyed. Even if I beg your Supernatural Investigation Bureau, you don't have to put on airs like this, right? Even the strongest among you isn't at the heaven rank. What kind of ostentatious display are you putting on here? Do I need to personally invite you out of the car? As he thought of this, Big Bro Tang opened his mouth. There was a hint of resentment in his voice. Friends from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, why aren't you getting out of the car? What's the meaning of this? Lin Yi casually opened the window. Before, because of the film on the window, eldest brother Tang couldn't see the people inside the car, so he didn't know that Lin Yi was inside. When Lin Yi spoke, he was shocked. Is this how the Hidden Tang family asks for help? Lin Yi said coldly. We're here, and the Tang family sent you to welcome us alone? Gah. When Big Bro Tang heard Lin Yi speak, this voice was still fresh in his memory. Especially when he saw Lin Yi's face, he was suddenly scared. It's young hero Lin who has graced us with his presence. I thought it was someone from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. I used to be a member of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, didn't you know? Lin Yi sneered and asked. Huh? Big Bro Tang was stunned. He didn't expect the Supernatural Investigation Bureau to have such a strong backer. Of course, this backer had only recently become powerful. At the level of the Hidden Tang family, they could more or less come into contact with some of the things that happened in the ancient times. They knew some of Lin Yi's deeds. In the ancient times, there weren't many people who dared to go against Lin Yi. Not to mention this, just from the hidden level alone, Lin Yi could already be said to have destroyed any family he wanted. Didn't House Zhao, who had hosted the Hidden House Summit, get wiped out just like that? At that thought, Big Bro Tang quickly said, My father is personally preparing a banquet for all of you. Please forgive me for not being a good host. I'll call him right now and ask if he's ready. Ha ha. Lin Yi chuckled, not denying it. Big Bro Tang quickly took out his phone and called Tang Taizhong. Father, is the banquet ready? If it's ready, come out and welcome us. Young hero Lin and the others are here. Tang Taizhong was sitting in the living room, waiting for Lingshan. When he received the call, He froze. Preparing a banquet. Didn't they already prepare a banquet? Plus, Tang Taizong, as the head of the house, didn't need to prepare a banquet himself. Wait. What did Big Bro Tang say? Young hero Lin was here? He was going to welcome him? Who was this young hero Lin? But Tang Taizong also knew that Big Bro Tang wouldn't call him for no reason. There had to be a reason why he was lowering his status in front of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. So, Tang Taizong stood up and said to Second Bro, go to the kitchen and tell them to prepare a banquet of the highest class. Yes, father. Second Bro Tang was a little puzzled. Why did his father change his mind with just a call from Big Bro? The banquet before was of a high standard, but that was only relative. It could only be said that it was used to entertain guests from the hidden world. The highest class banquet was used to entertain guests from the ancient world. Could it be that such a guest had come today? Tang Taizong thought about who this young hero Lin was as he walked. A few steps later, when he was almost at the door, he suddenly thought of a person. It made him shiver, and he quickened his steps again. When Tang Taizong reached the Tang Fortress, he saw Lin Yi in the driver's seat, talking to Big Bro Tang. He knew that he had guessed correctly. The only person who could make Big Bro Tang so nervous was Lin Yi. This young man, who didn't even put the ancient world in his eyes, had been suppressed by several families at the Hidden House Summit some time ago. But now, even the people from the ancient sects didn't dare to cause trouble for him. Things were really unpredictable. If Tang Taizong had known that this would happen, he wouldn't have suppressed Lin Yi, and he wouldn't have separated Big Bro Tang and Tang Yun from their father-daughter relationship at the banquet. It was a bad move. One wrong move, and everything went wrong. Young hero Lin, you're here. I didn't think that this matter would bother young hero Lin. It's such an honor to have you here, hero Lin, Tang Taizong said with a smile as he ran over to flatter Lin Yi. Chapter 3383. But his words stunned Lin Yi. Who was House Tang's son-in-law? Since when did he become House Tang's son-in-law? Seeing Lin Yi standing there, Boss Tang felt awkward. Tang Taizong didn't know what Lin Yi's expression was and didn't know what to say. Shield bro, I think they've gone crazy thinking about their son-in-law. Yushu got out of the car and said to Lin Yi, right, Ice Palace's Bingtang seems to be related to House Tang. Oh. Lin Yi understood. Could it be that House Tang heard that Bingtang was going to be his little wife, and so they treated him as their son-in-law? Seeing Lin Yi's indifferent expression, Boss Tang didn't dare to say more. He thought that Lin Yi was angry at House Tang for breaking off the relationship with Tang Yun at the birthday banquet. If Lin Yi's anger hadn't subsided, wouldn't it be suicide to say more? Young hero Lin, I've already ordered the kitchen to prepare dinner. Do you want me to sit now, or do you want to rest first? Tang Taizong didn't dare to mention Tang Yun anymore. He became more and more respectful towards Lin Yi. He even called himself I to ask for Lin Yi's forgiveness. Although there were some dishes that Tang Taizong had asked Second Bro to add later, it didn't mean that all the dishes had to be served before they could be eaten. So, with the addition of the dishes that had been prepared beforehand, it was time to sit down and enjoy the banquet. I'm not hungry, nor tired. We came here to solve a problem. Let's talk about your hidden house Tang first. Lin Yi waved his hand and rejected Tang Taizong's suggestion. He went straight to the main topic. Lin Yi was a chef himself. He didn't need this dinner. He was also a practitioner. This kind of journey was nothing to him. Ah, that's good. Master Lin, Chief Song, this way please. Who are these three? Tang Taizong didn't know Yushu or Xiaoke. Hidden House use Yushu, Thief Sect's Flying Sparrow Warrior, and Sky Elixir Sect's Kang Mingming's brother's fiancé. Lin Yi gave a simple introduction. They're all my closest friends. Ah, I've heard a lot about you. Tang Taizong quickly cupped his fists and said. However, he had never heard of these three people before. Especially the last one, Kang Mingming of the Heavenly Elixir Sect. He knew Elder Kang, but how did Kang Mingming's brother's fiancé get involved with Lin Yi? This Lin Yi was really amazing. How could this be possible? Then Kang Mingming agreed. However, he seemed to have agreed. Otherwise, why would he not even dare to fart until now? With that thought, Tang Taizong felt that Lin Yi was even more amazing. Elder Tang, you're really knowledgeable. Yu Shu used to be from the common house Chen. She just found out that she's from House Yu. She made up the name Flying Sparrow Warrior. Her name is Xiaoke. Lin Yi said. As for Wang Xinyan, I've already forced Kang Mingming to tell his brother to scram. She's my girlfriend now. Ah. Tang Taizong immediately blushed with shame. He had only said a few words of compliment. How could he have known that he had flattered the wrong person? He immediately felt a little depressed. The people around Mr. Lin are all ruthless people, so they must be famous, but he had heard that Lin Yi had actually forced Kang Mingming's brother to scram. Just how powerful did he have to be to force Kang Mingming to submit? The group entered the Tang house's guest room. Tang Taizong wanted to give the main seat to Lin Yi, but Lin Yi waved his hand and sat on the guest seat. Lin Yi didn't care at all. Elder Tang, it's not like we've never met before. Let's talk. Alright, I won't hold back. It's like this. With that, Tang Taizong told Lin Yi and the others about the things that had happened in the Tang property. Of course, these were all things that Tang Taizong had told Lingshan before. So you're saying that these people have been robbing us these past 2 days? Lin Yi asked. Yes, they came yesterday, and the day before yesterday. They came consecutively. I don't know if they'll come again today. Tang Taizong said helplessly. Our hidden house Tang just started a lot of businesses in the common world. If this keeps up, we're going to go bankrupt. Although the hidden Tang family used to have business, it was all in the dark. Now that the Hidden Family Association's restrictions had failed, the Tang family became unscrupulous. Of course, it wasn't just the Tang family. Other hidden families were the same. Everyone ran to the common world to make money. Hidden families had many ways to make money anyway. As a matter of fact, the hidden Tang family wanted to earn a huge sum of money, so they invested all of their family's assets into many industries. The jewelry industry, the rare medicinal material industry, the retail and wholesale industry, the private loan industry, and so on. Originally, these industries had the support of House Tang, and they were all thriving, but who would have thought that a group of robbers would suddenly appear and start robbing House Tang's properties? Jewelry stores, rare medicine stores, retail stores, private lending companies, all of them were robbed. However, House Tang couldn't close down, or else the companies that had just gained popularity would have to start all over again. So, House Tang could only ask for help from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau while replenishing their resources. If that's the case, then why don't we just go to your stores and have a look? If someone tries to rob us, we'll be able to act immediately, Lin Yi said after some thought. That's a good suggestion, but the problem is that House Tang's properties are very scattered. We have properties in many cities nearby. With so many properties, if we go to one, we might not even see the robbers for a month. Tang Taizong said with a bitter smile. Fuck, aren't you hidden houses not allowed to do business? Why do you have so many properties? When Lin Yi heard that these properties weren't in the same place, and were even in different areas, he glared at Tang Taizong. Then there's no other way. We can only wait until you get robbed and then we'll go catch the robbers. That's the only way. Tang Taizong nodded. Although he knew that there might be losses, at least Lin Yi's arrival could minimize the losses. Then, everyone, let's go to the restaurant first. Then let's go. Lin Yi didn't have anything else to do, so he nodded and agreed. In order to get on Lin Yi's good side, Hidden House Tang had put in a lot of effort this time. The second Tang had the chefs pull out all the stops, making a feast that was similar to the Manchu Han Imperial Feast. Chapter 3384. Xinyan was a shy eater. This had always been her personality. Lingshan, on the other hand, was worried about the case, and so she only ate a little. Yu Shu was a foodie in the first place, and Xiaoke didn't get to eat anything good in the orphanage. With so much good food in front of her, it would be a waste if she didn't eat it. Naturally, she wanted to eat as much as she could. As the two of them were eating happily, Tang Taizong's cell phone suddenly rang. Tang Taizong wanted to reject the call. He didn't want to disturb Lin Yi and the others, but Lin Yi stopped him. Answer it, it might be something. All right. Tang Taizong nodded and quickly picked up the phone. However, after listening to 2 sentences, his face changed. What? The gold shop in Lihuan County got robbed? Alright, I got it. Elder Tang, is something wrong? Lin Yi asked as he put down the cutlery in his hand. That's right, our hidden house Tang's shop in Lihuan County got robbed, and they're committing the crime right now. Tang Taizhong seemed very worried. Let's go now, Lingshan and I Shu, Xiaoke, and Xinyan. You guys stay here and continue eating, we don't need you guys. Lin Yi said quickly. I can help you. Xiaoke threw the plate in her hands away. It's just some sky class early phase, it'll be fine. Lin Yi waved his hand. You guys are tired from the long journey, and haven't eaten. Lingshan and I will be fine. Then. All right. Xiaoke was very obedient, of course, she listened to the male thief. She knew that Lin Yi wouldn't do anything he wasn't confident in, and if there really was danger, he wouldn't reject her. Lin Yi, Lingshan, Tang Taizhong, and Boss Tang left the banquet hall quickly, and Lin Yi asked as they walked, how far is this Lihuan County from here? 40 minutes by car. Tang Taizhong said after some thought. Then we don't need to go. Lin Yi stopped. Ah! Tang Taizhong stared blankly for a moment before he immediately understood Lin Yi's meaning. He bitterly smiled and said, yeah, these people robbed very quickly. The slowest one didn't take more than 15 minutes. They came and left in a hurry. If we rush over now, we won't even see their shadows. Grandfather Tang, when did you start fighting with those people? How did you get there before those people left? Lin Yi asked. It's like this. The first place they robbed was one of the Tang family's own material management stations. This is the organization responsible for the daily expenses of our hidden Tang family. There are some natural treasures and cash in the station. Elder Tang replied, that place is relatively close to here, so I was able to get there in a short amount of time. I see. After that, the places they robbed became the Tang family's shops and companies? Lin Yi nodded and asked. Yes. Elder Tang sighed. It seems I have overlooked this point. Based on the current situation, it will be very difficult to fight them face to face. Let's not talk about that for now. What I find strange is, how did these robbers know what industries your Tang family owns? They even know which city and street it is located in. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? Could it be that you have a mole inside? Lin Yi couldn't help but suspect this. It was quite an inconceivable matter. That's not it. It's because the account books and distribution maps of these industries were in the material management station before. The material management station is also responsible for coordinating the cash flow of these shops. Those criminals got it when they robbed the material management station. Tang Taizhong explained. So that's how it is. Then you were really careless and gave yourself to the robbers. Lin Yi felt a headache coming on. Do you have a copy of the distribution map of your family's industries? Let me have a look. Yes. Tang Taizhong heard this and quickly turned to Elder Tang. Boss, go get second and you to the scene of the crime. Bring the distribution map of our family's industries here. Yes, father, eldest brother Tang replied and retreated. After a while, Elder Tang returned with a map of their hidden family's industries and spread it on an empty table in the dining room. Mr. Lin, look. Tang Taizhong pointed at a few industries on the map. These industries have been robbed, and this is Lihuan County. The gold shop here was robbed today. Do you have the sequence of the robberies? Mark the sequence of the numbers. I'll see if I can find the pattern of the robbers' movement. Lin Yi said to Tang Taizhong. Lingshan's eyes lit up at Lin Yi's words. She couldn't help but admire Lin Yi. In fact, this was how she usually solved cases, but she was surprised that Lin Yi mentioned it. Lingshan admired Lin Yi's speed in solving cases, but Lin Yi didn't follow the rules. It was like the first time he found the bank robbers. He just walked around the cliff and found the location of the robbers. It was the same after that. So Lingshan thought that Lin Yi was using some special abilities of a practitioner to solve cases. But today, it seemed that Lin Yi was very familiar with the process. Perhaps it was because there weren't many clues this time, so Lin Yi started following the normal procedure. Before, Lin Yi was confident that he could find the suspects directly. All right, Tang Taizhong quickly picked up his pen and started drawing on the map. But when he was done, Lin Yi was speechless. This was a completely random crime. One day, the next, there was no pattern to follow. Many of the crime locations were completely different from each other. For the robbers, this was the most time-consuming method, but it was also the most effective way to avoid waiting for the right opportunity. It seemed that these robbers weren't afraid of anyone, but they were still worried about something. But this increased the difficulty of solving the case for Lin Yi and the others. Lingshan, what do you think? Lin Yi wasn't a professional, after all. He had a lot of unique ways to solve cases, but he couldn't do anything about this kind of theory. Chapter 3385. If push comes to shove, we'll just have to wait at a place they haven't robbed before. Hey! Wait, Elder Tang, what do you mean by this? The third and sixth crime locations are the same? Yes, who would have thought that they'd go back to the same shop again? We just restocked the goods and got robbed again. Elder Tang said, troubled. It's a random crime, and there's a possibility of going there again. That makes it harder for us to wait. Lingshan said as she slapped her forehead, evidently troubled. I think they might rob this place next time. Yu Shu walked over with a piece of tiramisu in her hand, sucking on her fingers as she pointed at an antique shop on the map. Is there any proof? Lingshan blinked, not understanding why Yu Shu would say that. I think so. Yu Shu didn't explain. What do you think? Prophet Shu's better than you, right? Prophet Shu? What a mess. Lingshan frowned. Shu, don't talk nonsense. You're targeting me, but don't bring your emotions into work. This kind of judgment can affect a lot of things. Lin Yi wanted to tell Yu Shu to stop messing around, but when she called herself Prophet Shu, he thought of something and his heart moved. Yu Shu's words had come true many times in the past, such as Zhao Qibing's skyscraper and legs. Lin Yi used to think that it was a coincidence, but after hearing Yu Xing's words, Shu and Ning, as prophets, should have a sixth sense in this area. Then, what she said about robbing an antique shop might really be possible. With that thought, Lin Yi said, let's go, we'll go set it up tonight. Shield Bro trusts Shu. Yu Shu was very pleased that Lin Yi listened to her. Lingshan paused. You trust her that much? We're just going to find a random place to wait for them anyways. Since Shu suggested it, we'll go here then. Lin Yi smiled casually. But the criminals didn't seem to have done anything to antique shops before. From a certain point of view, they probably wouldn't choose antique shops. After all, there's not much cash here, and antiques aren't easy to cash out. Lingshan analyzed. If this was really in Jian Wen's doing, he would be able to sell the drugs and firearms, let alone the antiques, Lin Yi said. All right, let's go there then. Lingshan didn't really trust Yu Shu, but she trusted Lin Yi a lot. She nodded in agreement. Therefore, they packed up and went to an antique shop in Keikai Town that very night. Keikai Town was an ancient town with a large antique market. The Tang family antique store was located there. Lin Yi was driving a Grand Cherokee, while eldest brother Tang Taizhong, and the others were riding in a Land Cruiser. Both cars had excellent off-road performance, so it was not a problem for them to traverse the small roads of the ancient town. Lin Yi's guess was right, this was all Jian Wen's doing. Jian Wen had failed once in Donghai, and his plan to rob a hidden house had to be put on hold. After a period of silence, he saw that the time was right and decided to make a comeback, targeting the hidden house of Tang. First, hidden house Tang was quite far from Donghai, and Lin Yi wouldn't bother with their business. Second, hidden house Tang's business was very big, and they had invested in many profitable industries. It would be easy for them to get some benefits. Master Wen, I heard that hidden house Tang asked for help from the occult investigation department, and that bitch Lingshan got transferred to the department as the vice director. She's our bane, Chuanjie said unhappily. Why don't we just kill her and be done with it? No, that Song girl is Lin Yi's woman. I hate Lin Yi, but that guy's getting more and more vicious these days. Even ancient people aren't a match for him. It's best if I don't mess with him. He has a lot of people backing him now, too. I didn't think that Meng Yarrow would become the palace master of the ancient Night Palace. I really can't get into a conflict with Lin Yi. Jian Wen said hatefully. Just avoid that Song girl, And if we really meet her, don't hurt her. Just retreat. Talk to the hypnotist later and give him an order. Understood. Chuanjie nodded. Then where should we rob tomorrow? Tomorrow. Jianwen opened up a map in front of him. It was a map of the properties he'd robbed from House Tang. This was a great weapon for robberies. Jianwen pointed at a location on the map. This antique shop, we've robbed so many gold shops, it's time for a change. We'll take some antiques and smuggle them out. All right, I'll go set it up right away. Chuanjie replied. Lingshan didn't think that the robbers would target this antique shop after all. The transportation here wasn't very convenient. From an escape perspective, it wasn't easy to run away from. There were only small roads in the fields, and even an off-road car wouldn't be able to go that fast. Of course, she was only thinking from the perspective of a normal criminal. Jianwen wouldn't even think about these problems. This place was 3 hours away from the Tang headquarters, and even if the roads weren't easy to run from, his men would be long gone by the time the Tang came. Plus, even if they did come, they might not be able to stop his men. This was why Jianwen was so fearless and chose to target House Tang alone. The shopkeeper of the antique shop was a former disciple of House Tang, only mystic mid-phase. He wasn't a match for the robbers at all, and he'd been under a lot of pressure these days. Now that Tang Taizhong had come with help, he let out a breath of relief. Disciple Tang Xiaogui greets the head of the Tang family, young Master Tang, second Master Tang, and all the masters present. Tang Xiaogui said respectfully, "You don't have to be so polite to us, but to these people, you have to be extremely respectful. This is Master Lin Yi, this is Director Song of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, this is Miss Chen, Miss Wang, and Miss Yu, they are all powerful heroines." Tang Taizhong introduced. Yes. Tang Xiaogui replied quickly. The food here was obviously not as good as that in the Tang family fort. Although Tang Taizhong also tried his best to order banquets from the most famous restaurants in the town, the standard was not as good as that of the Tang family fort, and the variety of dishes were not as good. Chapter 3386. It was a quiet night. Lin Yi hugged Xinyan and practiced, while Xiaoke and Yushu laid beside Lin Yi. There were limited rooms here, and Lin Yi stayed here in case something unexpected happened. Yushu didn't want to stay in an inn, so they slept together with Lin Yi. Fortunately, Lin Yi, Yushu, and Xiaoke were close enough that they didn't need to be shy. They were tired, too, and fell asleep the moment they laid down. Lin Yi, on the other hand, kept an eye on the movements outside as he practiced. However, these robbers didn't seem to be working at night. They had been doing it in the day, as if they were looking down on House Tang. They didn't want to commit crimes at night. The next day was uneventful as well. There were quite a few customers in the antique shop, but there weren't many transactions. Most of the customers paid with credit cards, and very few paid with cash. This made Lingshan frown. She felt that the robbers shouldn't have chosen this shop with such a low cash flow. Morning, noon, and afternoon were quiet. The robbers didn't come here, nor did they come to the other shops of House Tang. Just when Lingshan thought that Yushu was bullshitting, a few people in white shirts and black pants barged into the antique shop without warning. After they came in, without saying a word, they began to move things down from the antique shelves and moved them to a white van at the entrance. Lin Yi had heard about how these people did things, but seeing it with his own eyes, he still felt that these people were too arrogant. They didn't put anyone in their eyes at all. However, Lin Yi felt that these people's eyes were a little dull, similar to the cyborgs Jianwen had made. "Stop!" Lin Yi shouted at one of the cyborgs. But the cyborgs didn't seem to hear him at all. Lin Yi had no choice but to block the cyborg's path. This time, the biohuman finally noticed Lin Yi. He threw the antique bottle in his hand at Lin Yi. These people were all following the hypnotist's instructions. They did not have their own thoughts, only instructions. The hypnotist had shown them Lingshan's picture, and Lingshan was on their whitelist. They wouldn't attack her, but Lin Yi wasn't. The cyborg, on the other hand, started attacking Lin Yi the moment he was stopped. This antique bottle was worth at least a few 100,000 yuan. Although Lin Yi had the money, he didn't want to waste it. He directly put it into the space of the jade pendant. Anyway, it was a mess now, and no one would ask about this. He could just give a perfunctory answer afterwards. Tang Taizong wouldn't dare to ask too much. Indeed, although Tang Taizong was puzzled about where the bottle went, he didn't even dare to fart. There was no other reason. He was afraid of affecting Lin Yi's battle. If it distracted Lin Yi, he would be guilty. So, if a broken bottle was gone, then so be it. It didn't matter how it disappeared. Boom! Lin Yi threw a punch at the robber in front of him. He only used the 10th form of Frenzy Fist. His goal was to test the strength of this cyborg in front of him. However, what disappointed Lin Yi was that he only used the 10th form of Frenzy Fist, and the cyborg's chest caved in. The cyborg was sent flying and fell to the ground. He spat out mouthfuls of blood and struggled, but he couldn't get up. This kind of strength was not a strong opponent at all. Logically speaking, with Tang Taizong's strength, he could easily kill these people. Why was he injured instead? Lin Yi was puzzled, but what happened next solved his doubt. The cyborgs who were moving the antiques felt that their companion was being attacked. They all put down what they were doing and attacked Lin Yi together. There were a total of 5 people left, and all of them attacked Lin Yi. When Yu Xiaoke saw this scene, she instantly panicked. She wanted to use Nua's heaven mending technique to protect Lin Yi. However, Lin Yi saw this and shook his head, saying, "There's no need. I'll test their strength first. If it doesn't work, I'll call you." Okay. Yu Xiaoke nodded, but she still used the mantra. However, she didn't use it. She was just prepared. The 5 people attacked Lin Yi at the same time. Lin Yi used the mantra to defend himself, and then he hit one of them. Boom! 4 fists landed on Lin Yi at the same time. Only one person was sent flying by Lin Yi. Lin Yi still used the 10th form of Frenzy Fist. Early stage of Heaven class. Lin Yi felt the strength of these 4 people. They attacked together. Even if Lin Yi used pure qi to protect his body, he still almost vomited blood. He quickly used the mantra to heal his injuries. Although the injuries were not serious, Lin Yi finally understood how Tang Taizong got injured. At most, he could fight 5. He attacked one person, and the others attacked him at the same time. It would be strange if he didn't get injured. If it wasn't for the fact that Lin Yi's strength was much higher than theirs, and Lin Yi could heal his injuries quickly, he would really be injured. And so, Lin Yi did the same thing, taking out every single biohuman one by one. He couldn't avoid taking a few more punches, but the good thing was that these people didn't have any sort of pattern to their attacks. They were all direct, and Lin Yi was able to react and defend with ease. The robbers were all beaten to the ground by Lin Yi. The first 5, Lin Yi didn't show any mercy. Looking at the degree of damage to their chests, they probably wouldn't last long. But the last one, Lin Yi only knocked him to the ground, temporarily incapacitating him. Lin Yi wanted to keep at least one person alive, although Lin Yi didn't think that he would be able to get anything out of them. Lingshan, capture this person, and hand the rest to Elder Tang. Send them to the cemetery. Lin Yi said. All right. Lingshan skillfully cuffed the last biohuman. The others were clearly not going to survive. Tang Taizong immediately ordered the Tang disciples to help, dragging them away. The antiques that were moved to the car were also returned. Tang Taizong was very grateful to Lin Yi. If it weren't for Lin Yi, he would have lost a lot of money today. Not to mention, he would have lost tens of millions. Young hero Lin, thank you for helping us today. Tang Taizong said gratefully. I've prepared a small gift for you. I hope you won't reject it. What is it? Lin Yi didn't pretend to be polite and asked directly. Chapter 3387. Plus, Tang Taizong was really afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't want it. He wanted to build a relationship with Lin Yi so that he could trouble Lin Yi the next time, so he had to make Lin Yi happy. It's a bowl used by a leader of the Everyday and Everyday sect. It's a rare antique. How much is it worth? Lin Yi asked back. This. If it's the market price, it should be around 10 to 20 million, right? Tang Taizong didn't expect Lin Yi to ask like that, but he still made a rough estimate. After all, any practitioner house that got their hands on something like this wouldn't sell it easily. This was something that could be traded for training resources, and it couldn't be measured with money. Oh, then 15 million. I'll give you an account number, and you can transfer the money over. Lin Yi said directly. You can keep the bowl for yourself, or you can sell it to the everyday and everyday sect. You can get a good price. Isn't it just 15 million? I'll give you 20 million. Hero Lin, you misunderstood me. This bowl is a thank you gift, and I'm not done yet. Tang Taizhong gave the bowl to Lin Yi because he thought that Lin Yi wouldn't lack money. Lin Yi's cauldron was a very profitable item, so he didn't mention money. If he knew that Lin Yi liked money, he would have asked first. Oh, that's fine. Xiaoke, give him the account number. Lin Yi wasn't very interested in the bowl, so he put it in the jade space. The account number is XXXXX, and the name is Songshan Orphanage. Xiaoke said. Ahem. Okay, I'll remember. Tang Taizhong paused. He realized that Lin Yi was doing this for the orphanage, not for himself, but it didn't matter, the money was given because of Lin Yi. It didn't matter who he gave it to, as long as Lin Yi was grateful. If there's nothing else, let's go back first. Lin Yi looked at Yu Shu, surprised. It seemed that Yu Shu's prophecy ability was real. Yu Yuxing's words made sense. Okay, I will arrange the car. Tang Taizhong quickly responded. Little Shu, I really have to thank you this time. I didn't expect you to be able to guess their crime location. Lingshan, on the other hand, was very straightforward. Yu Shu had guessed the location correctly, and that was why she and Lin Yi were able to get rid of the robbers. They'd even captured one of them. Yu Shu, other than Lin Yi, was the biggest contributor. What do you think? Are you convinced now? Yu Shu said proudly. So what if I admire you for solving the case? Lingshan, on the other hand, didn't let her emotions affect her decisions. She said seriously, Shu, do you think the robbers will commit more crimes? Where is their next target? It's still here, Yu Shu said. It's still here. Lingshan paused. Tang Taizhong, who had just gone to prepare the car, paused as well. He quickly asked, Young Master Lin, Chief Song, should we stay here for a while? Tang Taizhong trusted Yu Shu very much. She was a prophet, after all. She said they would rob an antique shop, so there had to be a reason why Yu Shu said the robbers would come again. We have to. Lin Yi shook his head. They've lost this time. Logically speaking, we wouldn't stay here. The robbers have the same thought, so they'll do the opposite. If we stay here and they see us, they won't move. You're right. Tang Taizhong nodded. Then what should we do? We'll pretend to leave first, and find a place to stay. We'll be able to get to this place as soon as possible. Lin Yi said. That's the only way. Thank you, young Master Lin, Tang Taizhong said quickly. Trouble is secondary. I've helped House Tang solve their problem, so shouldn't we talk business? Lin Yi said faintly as he looked at Tang Taizhong. This? What business? Tang Taizhong paused. He thought that Lin Yi wanted some sort of reward. After all, the reward was only for helping out this time. If he wanted Lin Yi to stay here, he'd have to pay a price. Why else would Lin Yi keep helping him? Let's find a place to stay first. We'll talk later. Lin Yi waved his hand and walked out. Chapter 3388. That's. Tang Taizhong paused. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be talking about this. In actuality, how could Tang Taizhong not know that the department controlled the common houses, but there weren't many of them that they could actually control. They could only coordinate among them. The one who was truly effective was Lin Yi. Lin Yi's cultivator union made these common houses submit to Lin Yi, listening to Lin Yi's orders. Only then did the department's words matter. Now, the department was probably starting to make a move on the hidden houses. Should he agree or not? Logically speaking, House Tang asking for help from the department was equivalent to throwing out an olive branch, but House Tang was more inclined towards a cooperative relationship. Things could be discussed, and not controlled. But since Lin Yi had said it, he didn't dare to reject, and he was afraid of losing face for the hidden houses. Next, I'm preparing to expand the scope of the Practitioners Association. My Practitioners Association and the Supernatural Investigation Department are two different groups. I've already appointed Lingshan as the vice chairwoman, helping me manage these things. Lin Yi didn't wait for Tang Taizhong's reply and continued, the hidden houses that join the Cultivator Union will receive my protection, but they'll also have to accept Chairman Song's management. Of course, we won't care if anything happens to those who don't join. After all, our energy is limited, and we can only help the members of the Cultivator Union. Elder Tang, what's your decision? Ah, it's young hero Lin's Cultivators Society. I know that, I've been wanting to join for a long time. I heard that Hidden House Han, House Shuang, and House Pai are all members. Tang Taizhong asked. Yes, they're definitely the first batch. Lin Yi nodded, the rest is up to you, Elder Tang. If you agree now, you'll be one of the first batch. You'll be treated differently. Alright, I'll join. Tang Taizhong didn't hesitate anymore and made the decision. Hidden House Tang is willing to join young hero Lin's Cultivator Union, and will be under Chairman Song's management. Well, if that's the case, then there's nothing else. I'm going to rest. I still have to fight the robbers tomorrow. Lin Yi nodded with satisfaction. Things were going well. Of course, if it weren't for the robbers, the Hidden Tang family probably wouldn't have agreed so easily. After all, the situation was pressing. Alright, young hero Lin, please. Tang Taizhong hurriedly stood up to send him off. Tang Yuyu and the others also stood up. Lin Yi nodded and went to rest, but Yushu and Lingshan had to be in the same room as Lin Yi. Xiaoke had to join them as well. Still, Lin Yi wasn't actually going to sleep. He was training with Xinyan in his arms, and it didn't really matter if there was one more or one less person in the room. And so, a rather ridiculous scene happened at night. Lin Yi hugged Xinyan and laid on the bed. Lingshan, on the other hand, was very happy today. The Occult Investigation Department was going to shine in her hands. In the past, the department couldn't even control the noble houses, but now they could control the hidden noble houses. Only Lingshan could understand the difference. The Occult Investigation Department was finally strong, and Lingshan, as the vice director, felt very proud. And so, in her heart, Lingshan loved Lin Yi very much. Seeing Lin Yi hugging Xinyan on the bed, she couldn't wait to lie down on the other side of Lin Yi. It wasn't that she was in a rush, but this was the only way she could express her gratitude and love for Lin Yi. But, seeing that Lingshan was on the bed, Yushu wasn't going to back down. Hey, Song Fox, I'm Shield Bro's small wife, and I'm the one who solved the case today. I want to sleep next to Shield Bro. Lingshan didn't want to let Yushu have it. She was the one who took the initiative, so how could she let someone else have it? She was usually very domineering towards other people, but remembering that Yushu was the one who solved the case today, she hesitated and moved away. I'll let you sleep then. Oh. Yushu didn't hold back and happily laid down next to Lin Yi. But when it came to Xiaoke, she didn't fight for it anymore. No matter what, the male thief would always belong to her, and the others could do whatever they wanted. Xiaoke laid down quietly next to Lingshan. They were both very petite, and the 1.8-meter-long bed was more than enough for them to sleep on. Actually, no one dared to do anything sneakily when sleeping on the same bed. Even Yushu didn't dare move recklessly, because Lin Yi was in the middle of practicing. It wouldn't be a joke if he went crazy. Yushu could still remember the last time she went crazy. If it weren't for Tang Yun, Lin Yi wouldn't have woken up at all. These days, he'd been fighting and running all the time. Even a god of war like Lin Yi was feeling a bit tired. But with Xinyan's help, the more energy he used up, the easier it was for him to replenish his energy at night. These days, he could clearly feel that his third stage of the art of dragon mastery was showing signs of completion, and this was a very pleasant surprise to him. However, reaching the perfection of the third level of the art of dragon mastery was just the beginning. He still needed to forge a heaven-ranked weapon of his own. Only with a heaven-ranked weapon could he open the fourth stone door. Who knew what kind of benefits lay behind the fourth stone door? Lin Yi was looking forward to it. Yushu, Lingshan, and Xiaoke fell into a deep sleep after a long day. Lin Yi had no choice but to put the energy stones under Xinyan's bed, but there were too many of them. It wasn't a problem for Xinyan. After Lin Yi left, only the hidden Tangs were left in the meeting room. Let's hear it. What's your stance on my decision? Tang Taizhong asked the members of the Tang family. Chapter 3389. That's right, that's what happened. Second Tang nodded. The hidden houses that were close to Lin Yi are getting stronger and stronger, and even the ancient people don't dare bully them anymore. House Zhao, on the other hand, who went against Lin Yi? Didn't they turn to dust now? Even now, the ancient House Dongfang, House Feng, Black Horse, and the everyday sect all have a grudge against Lin Yi, but who would dare cause trouble for Lin Yi? The weakest ancient House Dark Knight, on the other hand, has become stronger because of Lin Yi. If it weren't for the fact that we didn't have any connections before, I would have suggested using Lin Yi's docks a long time ago. Yui, what do you think? Tang Taizhong was very pleased with his two sons' support. He was afraid that they'd go against him. Not only would they offend Lin Yi, they'd also push House Tang into a pit of fire. Grandpa, I think you've made the right decision. Right now, the training world is in chaos, and the Hidden Houses Arbitration Association is useless. We need a powerful organization or expert to intimidate these powers, or else everything will be in chaos, and that won't do us any good. Tang Yui nodded. What we need to do is develop stably. House Tang is weak in the first place, and if things really get chaotic, we'll be the ones getting bullied. Words are crude, but logic isn't. Yui's words are a little undervaluing, but that's the truth. Tang Taizhong nodded. If that's the case, then we'll have to report to Chairman Song if anything big happens in the future. He's too busy, and he might not have time for us. When something big happens, we'll go to young hero Lin for help. Yes. The Tangs quickly nodded. In actuality, Tang Yui really wanted to talk to Lin Yi privately, but there wasn't a suitable opportunity. He could only give up. The biohumans he sent out didn't come back, either. Jian Wen was panicking when he received a report from Xiaochun. Master Wen, it's bad. Those biohumans are all dead. Xiaochun rushed to Jian Wen. Dead? What happened? Could it be that the potion lost its effect? Jian Wen paused. These cyborgs all relied on the professor's medicine to increase their strength, but it wasn't permanent. After a while, these cyborgs wouldn't even be as strong as normal humans. That was why Jian Wen asked this question. No, young Master Wen, according to the video on the van, Lin Yi is here. Xiao Chun said helplessly. What? Lin Yi is here? Is this for real? Why is he here? Isn't it just the people from the investigation department? Jian Wen slammed the table and stood up. Let me see. Okay, I'll get the video for you. Xiao Chun quickly went to get the video. Soon, the video was brought over. Jian Wen's face was dark as he looked at it. He didn't expect Lin Yi to interfere again. He chose to hide House Tang because it was far from Donghai, and he didn't have much of a relationship with Lin Yi. He felt that Lin Yi shouldn't meddle in other people's business. Who would have thought that Ling Shan would become the vice director of the department, and even Lin Yi would come to help? How many of our test subjects are left? Jian Wen asked. Only 6 left, Little Pure said. It wasn't easy to find a test subject that could be injected with the medicine. Normal people wouldn't be able to handle the strength of the medicine, and they'd die immediately after the injection. You had to have a strong body. In other words, this person had to have strength close to golden class. Even if they weren't golden class, they had to be an outstanding fighter in a gang or one of the top few fighters in the underground fighting arena. People like that were hard to find. Jian Wen spent a lot of effort to find a dozen of them, and some of them even failed. Even with strength like that, it wasn't 100% success rate. In the common world, people like that were too rare. After all, golden class masters were rare, and these people were close to golden class. Naturally, they were very rare. He couldn't go to the noble houses to capture them, could he? Those noble houses had more or less connections with Lin Yi, and the hidden noble houses weren't easy to mess with. Robbing was fine, but capturing people wasn't easy. He was planning to use these biohumans to do something big, but who would have thought that Lin Yi would kill 5 of them in one go, and capture one? This was a huge loss. There's only 6 left. Jian Wen frowned. These 6 might not all be successful. Young Master Wen, should we continue with the next step? Or should we stop? Xiaochun asked carefully. Of course, why not? It wasn't easy for Jian Wen to get rich, There was no way he'd give it up so easily. He slammed the table. From the recordings, Lin Yi and the others have already left this place. So, we'll be robbing here tomorrow. This antique shop again? Xiao Chun paused, thinking that Jian Wen's idea was a brilliant one. Master Wen, you're right. No one would have thought that we'd come back and kill them. That Lin Yi's already gone, and it'll take him a few hours to come back. Our men would have left long ago after we're done. Yes, this time, we can also rob a hotel near the Tang family. Jian Wen said as he looked at the map. Here, there's another hotel. We can't rob hotels anymore, but since we're going there, we might as well rob them all. Don't let go of anything valuable. Yes. Xiaochun knew that Jian Wen was going all out this time. He wanted as much as he could to make this trip worthwhile. But, Xiaochun was curious. Master Wen, how do you think Lin Yi and the others knew that we were going to rob the antique shops here? Do they have the ability to predict things? How is that possible? I think it's just blind luck. But that Lin Yi kid is a little weird. He might have analyzed something. Jian Wen said after some thought. Analyzed? Didn't you pick these places randomly, Master Wen? How did you do that? Xiaochun was even more confused. Chapter 3390. He was now a high-level criminal, so he often read some criminal psychology books. There was also an introduction to this aspect. Of course, whether it was true or not, he didn't know. I see. Then next. Xiaochun was wondering if Lin Yi would be able to figure out what was going to happen next. This robbery wasn't a random one. I made this decision after I found out that Lin Yi was involved and after Lin Yi left. It's different from the random ones, so Lin Yi and the others won't be able to figure it out. Jian Wen said. If Lin Yi figured it out, why would he leave? Wouldn't he just stay in the antique shop and wait? That's true. Xiaochun nodded with relief after hearing that. But as soon as Xiaochun finished speaking, a series of rapid knocks came from the door. Jian Wen frowned, but said, Pure, go see who's here. Yes, sir. Xiao Chun went to open the door and found that it was one of his trusted subordinates, called Little Lunatic. Not good, Xiaochun bro. Little Crazy said as soon as she entered the door. What's with the panic? Also, call Master when you come in. Xiao Chun frowned slightly. If it weren't for the fact that this little crazy girl was pretty and reliable, he wouldn't have nurtured her. Yes. Master Wen, something happened. Little crazy girl quickly nodded. According to the ambushes we set up at the entrance, Lin Yi's group didn't leave this place. They're probably hiding around here. What? Jian Wen's eyes went wide. It couldn't be a coincidence, right? He was just about to continue robbing the antique shop when he received a report saying that Lin Yi hadn't left. This Lin Yi was too amazing. Master Wen, should we go somewhere else? Xiaochun was startled as well. How did Lin Yi figure it out? This didn't seem realistic. Wasn't this a little too strange? Thinking about all the things they'd been doing these past few days, all of them getting ruined by Lin Yi, Xiao Chun couldn't help but wonder if Lin Yi was their bane. Find another place? Jian Wen had regained his composure by this point. He paused and smiled coldly. Why not? Not only are we not changing this time, but we're also injecting the fourth medicine into the test subject. If Lin Yi really interferes, then we'll let him stay there forever. Fourth improved potion. Xiao Chun was stunned after hearing that. Young Master Wen, Professor Yin said that the fourth improved potion is for Earth rank and above experts to inject. If it's injected into these experimental subjects, they won't be able to withstand it. Even if they can, they won't be able to exert their full strength. Moreover, even if they don't die after the injection, they'll be crippled after recovery. They can't be used again. I know. Go get the professor. I'll ask him if there's a possibility. Jian Wen was evidently determined. He waved his hand, signaling Pure to go get the professor. This. All right. Xiao Chun nodded and instructed Little Crazy to call for help. It wasn't long before the professor came in. Young Master Wen, you were looking for me? It's like this. If we were to inject the fourth improved potion into these subjects, would it have the desired effect? Jian Wen asked directly. The fourth improved potion was created by my uncle, Professor Benjamin II. This potion is targeted at masters above the earth rank, and only masters above the earth rank can withstand it. If it is used on a lower rank, it is very likely to cause the death of the recipient. Professor Yin said. So you're saying that it's impossible? Jianwen frowned. It's not impossible. It's just a little troublesome. Plus, the subject wouldn't be able to reach the sky class late phase peak that Master Wen had predicted. It'd be good if they could reach sky class late phase. The professor said. Oh, that's enough. What do we do? Tell me. Jianwen's eyes lit up. It's like this. We can first use the first improved potion to stimulate the subject's body's limit, using up all of his stamina in advance. Then we inject the fourth improved potion. There's a chance of success, but there's no guarantee of success. The professor explained. There's bound to be a subject that can't take it and die immediately. Plus, the subject's lifespan is limited. It'll probably only be an hour or so before the subject dies. An hour? That's enough. Jianwen sighed. Professor Yin, it's not like you don't know how much of a threat Lin Yi is to us. Lin Yi's the one causing trouble for us so many times. If it weren't for him, we'd be making a lot of money already. That's true. I'll try my best then. The professor thought about it and gritted his teeth. I'll call my master tonight and see if he has any good ideas. Okay, thanks for your hard work, Jianwen said, satisfied. The night passed quickly, and the sky was already bright. Lin Yi stretched and stood up. Xinyan was still sound asleep, and Lin Yi didn't want to disturb her. He wanted her to absorb as much energy as possible. Yushu woke up as well when Lin Yi woke up. She couldn't sleep well either. Shield bro. You're awake. Sure. Lin Yi made a shushing gesture before pointing at Xinyan. Let her rest for a bit. Okay. Yushu didn't have any animosity towards Xinyan. Perhaps in her eyes, people who were good to Lin Yi were good people. She could get along with them. I'll go get something to eat. You guys wait for me. Lin Yi didn't know that Jianwen already knew that he was here, so he didn't bring them to the hotel's restaurant for breakfast in order to keep a low profile. I want fried eggs, Yushu said. Okay. Lin Yi nodded and walked out of the room. He didn't expect to see Tang Yuyu waiting for him at the door. Or rather, Tang Yuyu had never left. He had been waiting for Lin Yi. This surprised Lin Yi. Mr. Lin. Tang Yuyu said respectfully. Are you here for breakfast? I'll go get it for you and send it to your room. No need. We'll go together. Lin Yi waved his hand. When did you get here? Chapter 3391. It's nothing. You don't have to be so careful. We have a good relationship. Lin Yi smiled and waved his hand. He could feel Tang Yuyu's caution and knew what he was thinking. He smiled. Your grandfather is your grandfather. Back at the Hidden House Summit, he wanted to kill me too. That's reasonable, but we have a good relationship. From now on, won't you be in charge of the Tang family? No need to be so reserved. Just call me Lin Yi. Okay. Gratitude flashed across Tang Yuyu's face. Then I'll call you Brother Lin from now on. Brother Lin, my sister is now, but Tang Yuyu was a bit confused. He called Lin Yi Brother Lin, so he should be Lin Yi's brother-in-law, right? But now, he didn't dare call him that. Your sister. Lin Yi paused. Who is your sister? Ah. Tang Yuyu saw that Lin Yi's attitude was good and wanted to get closer to Lin Yi, but he didn't think that Lin Yi would act like this when he mentioned his sister. He stopped. Nothing, don't think about those messy things. I have enough women by my side. Don't think about marriage. Lin Yi misunderstood Tang Yuyu. He thought that Tang Yuyu wanted to give his sister to Lin Yi. Ah! Tang Yuyu paused. He was even more confused. He didn't know what Lin Yi meant. Did he break up with Tang Yun? Thinking of this, Tang Yuyu didn't dare say much. As far as he was concerned, Xue Jiyu must have caused Lin Yi to be in a bad mood. However, he couldn't say anything in a fight between gods. He could only lower his head and accompany Lin Yi all the way to the hotel's restaurant. Lin Yi took some dishes. He didn't take much. The room was full of women, so he couldn't eat too much. Seeing Tang Yuyu being so cautious, Lin Yi didn't know what was wrong with him. What did he say to make him so cautious? However, Lin Yi couldn't do anything about it. If Tang Yuyu insisted on being so cautious, then he couldn't say anything. Other than Wang Xinyan, everyone else was awake when they got back to the room, but it didn't affect Xinyan at all. They all knew that Xinyan had used up a lot of energy last night, and it was hard to say if she would wake up before noon. Lin Yi gave the breakfast to Yushu, Lingshan, and Xiaoke before placing the energy stones next to Xinyan. He watched them enjoy their breakfast, enjoying the moment of peace. Ever since he came to Songshan, Lin Yi's life seemed to be in a mess. Almost all kinds of things came to him, causing Lin Yi to work non-stop. Until now, Lin Yi still had to work hard for the inheritors' plan. It was rare for him to have free time. However, this kind of leisure could only last for one morning. The professor rushed to Jian Wen's room the next morning. "Professor Yin, how is it? Do you have a solution?" Jian Wen was pleasantly surprised to see the professor. He'd been waiting for news from the professor for a long time. "Yes, it's like this, Master Wen. My master saw the recording of Lin Yi's fight with the cyborgs, and he gave a few suggestions." The professor said, "He said that Lin Yi's attacks are very strong, and our cyborgs are very strong, but they can't take a beating. It's fine when fighting against low-level masters, but if they fight against Lin Yi, they might be killed by Lin Yi before they can even kill Lin Yi. Even if they're Sky-class late phase, it's still not enough. Lin Yi can kill them one at a time, 6 hits at most, and they'll all be dead." That's... Jian Wen thought about it and realized that it was true. The professor's words made him feel a little discouraged, but he had to admit that it was the truth. "Then is there a way to solve it? Are we just going to let Lin Yi go like this? There's no way we'll let him go. My master also suggested that we kill Lin Yi, so his suggestion is to inject the number 1, 2, and 4 drugs into the cyborg." The professor said, "That way, our cyborgs will not only increase their strength, but they'll also be able to take a beating. As long as they don't lose their heads, they'll still be able to keep attacking even if they lose an arm or a leg." "Oh, then it's settled." Jian Wen nodded, overjoyed. "Is there a problem?" "There is a problem. The side effect is that the effect only lasts for 20 minutes, so we have to do it in the car and hypnotize them in the car." "We can't waste any time," the professor said. "That's doable. Let Xiaochun and the hypnotist go together," Jian Wen said. "That's doable, but I'm afraid that things will be exposed," the professor said after some hesitation. "Lin Yi won't send people out for Xiaochun and the others, will he? They pretended to be Lang Nima and Kui Mianxia to trick Liu Tianli. Sit in the car and don't get out. What's there to expose? Lin Yi doesn't have X-ray vision. Does he think he's Yang Ming?" Jian Wen waved his hand in disdain. Master Wen, you know Yang Ming as well?" The professor paused, not expecting Jian Wen to know Yang Ming. This was the core secret of the Firewolves. "Yes, isn't he our ultimate enemy? Miss Lan told me about it already," Jian Wen said faintly. Miss Lan valued him a lot now, and he was starting to get in touch with the core secrets of the Firewolves. "All right, Master Wen, I'll go make the arrangements." The professor nodded and went to prepare. At noon, a white van drove to the hidden House Tang's antique shop. Jian Wen didn't even change his car this time to attract Lin Yi's attention. He didn't even change his car. He was still using his old car to attract Lin Yi's attention. The driver was Little Pure. Before he left, he had already passed some instructions to the little crazy guy. This mission made him a little panicky. He had a feeling that they were going to fail, but he couldn't tell Jian Wen about it. Jian Wen would definitely scold him for worrying too much. So, in order to continue Scorpion's spirit, Xiaochun trained Little Crazy to be his successor. If something really happened to him today, then Little Crazy would take over his position and become the next Scorpion. Chapter 3392. "I can have a ceremony with you here alone," Lin Yi said after a sigh. In his heart, Tang Yun had a special place. Even if he liked Xiao Xiao, Tang Yun was his first true girlfriend, so her place in Lin Yi's heart would always be different. Hearing Lin Yi's words, Tang Yun was touched, but she shook her head. "Never mind, Xiao Xiao won't be happy when she finds out." "You." Lin Yi didn't know what to say. Tang Yun was always like this, always thinking about other people's benefits, just like how she accepted Xiao Xiao back then. "What me? I'm just being contradictory, can't I? Tang Yun glared at Lin Yi and went back to her plate happily. As Gaodan and Yuanyuan's ceremony ended, Lin Yi welcomed his second 5-year promise. Today was the night of the full moon, and old Lin called Lin Yi to his room early in the morning. "Old man, you won't kick me off this time, will you?" Lin Yi joked as soon as he entered the room. In fact, he was excited and nervous. This day was finally here, and he had been waiting for it for a long time. But now that it was here, Lin Yi was a little worried that something would happen. "Why do you look so nervous?" Old Lin looked at Lin Yi and teased, "I kicked you off because I had no other choice. It was just a promise I made with your master back then. I am a little nervous, after all, it's been so many years." Lin Yi didn't hide it. "I hope it works this time." "Haha." Old Lin smiled. "Oh right, I've asked about Tang Yun and the others' cultivation methods for you. What's the result?" Lin Yi asked quickly. "No result." Old Lin shook his head. "That old friend doesn't have it, so you'll have to find it yourself. He told me to tell you something." "Something? What is it?" Lin Yi frowned. "There's always a way out," Old Lin said. "What does that mean? Why does it feel like there's more to it than meets the eye?" Lin Yi didn't quite understand what the old man was trying to say. "Haha, isn't it clear? Let me tell you, you don't have to spend too much effort on this matter. Perhaps under some kind of coincidence, you'll be able to find the mantra that belongs to them," Old Lin explained. "Are you serious? This guy's a fortune teller? Why does it feel like he's not reliable?" Lin Yi frowned. "He really is a fortune teller. Furthermore, his fortune-telling is extraordinarily accurate." Old Lin smiled bitterly. "At least on some matters, it really comes true." "What do you mean?" Lin Yi was confused. "Back then, he told Feng Qianlong's fortune," Old Lin said. Old Lin said, "He once said that the destiny was with Xiao Xiao, and she really did make it out of danger. Before you went to the Ice Palace, even I didn't have much hope for her." "No way." Lin Yi was even more shocked. "Haha, maybe," Old Lin nodded. "All right." Lin Yi didn't ask any more questions. There were some things that Old Lin didn't want to talk about, which meant that it wasn't the right time to ask. Lin Yi had experienced this from a young age. "Go, I know you're impatient, I'll help you explain things to Tang Yun," Old Lin said. All right. Lin Yi really wanted to go to the cave, even if he had to wait at the entrance. Everything was so familiar, and Lin Yi arrived in front of the cave once more. It wasn't night yet, but Lin Yi couldn't help but give it a try. The stone door didn't open, which was within Lin Yi's expectations. But Lin Yi wouldn't give up until he tested it. Since it was still early, Lin Yi calmed himself down and sat cross-legged at the entrance of the cave, practicing. Lin Yi waited for the night to fall. Slowly, the night came, and Lin Yi came out of the jade space, returning to reality. He raised his head and looked at the starry night sky. There was a full moon in the sky. Lin Yi took a deep breath and stood up, walking towards the cave. Looking at the stone door in front of the cave, Lin Yi slowly placed his hand on the stone door, and after a while, he let go. But this time, it wasn't like the first time Lin Yi came to the stone door. At that time, Lin Yi only placed his hand on the stone door, and the stone door opened by itself. But this time, the stone door didn't open. Lin Yi was slightly startled. Was there something wrong with his calculation? "Jiao Lao, what's going on? Why didn't the stone door open?" Lin Yi had a ready-made teacher, so Lin Yi wasn't in a hurry. The first time the stone door opens, you can enter if you're fated to. The second time it opens, it has already recognized you as its owner. Try using the art of dragon mastery, Jiao Yazi said. Lin Yi nodded and activated the art of dragon mastery, placing his hand on the stone door once more. This time, it didn't take long for the tightly shut stone door to rise slowly. Phew! Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that Jiao Yazi was right, the stone door really did open. This was the scene inside the door. It was the same as the first time Lin Yi saw it at the age of 8. But this time, Lin Yi wasn't as surprised as before, and he didn't pay much attention to anything in the hall. He walked around the high platform and stood in front of the second stone door at the back of the hall. On the stone tablet in front of the stone door were the same words that Lin Yi had seen before. 5 years later, when the divine ability is complete, you can enter by striking the door with your palm. If you don't get what you want and the divine ability isn't complete, wait another 5 years and come back to test it. Last time, Lin Yi was confused and didn't know what these words meant. But this time, Lin Yi understood that the divine ability on the stone tablet was referring to the art of dragon mastery. Now that his art of dragon mastery had reached the completion of the first layer, as long as he had the second layer, he could start cultivating. Lin Yi remembered the words at the door, remember to leave before dawn. The stone door will open again in 5 years. He didn't dare to waste any time. If he delayed, then Lin Yi would be trapped in the stone door, unable to leave. Chapter 3393. Originally, Lin Yi had only used the art of dragon mastery to open the stone door. Naturally, he couldn't use the art of dragon mastery to its fullest, but the moment his palm touched the stone door, Lin Yi's chi seemed to have been activated, and his art of dragon mastery was forcibly raised to the first stage. It was as if Lin Yi didn't need to use the art of dragon mastery, and it was running on its own. The energy in Lin Yi's body flowed through his palm and into the stone door. This was a situation that Lin Yi had never seen before. The only time he used the art of dragon mastery was when he was healing Xiao Xiao, but it was different this time. After all, the energy was transferred to a living person, and the energy was transferred to the stone door. However, when Lin Yi opened the first stone door, he only used the art of dragon mastery once, and the stone door opened. This time, it had been running on its own for so long, and the stone door still didn't move. Instead, the energy in Lin Yi's body flowed into the stone door. Seeing that he was losing more and more energy, and Lin Yi still couldn't stop it, Lin Yi finally panicked. He wanted to ask Jiao Yazi what was going on. Jiao Lao, what's going on? Why is all the qi in my body flowing into the stone door? Lin Yi asked anxiously. However, Jiao Lao's voice didn't ring. Instead, there was only silence. Jiao Lao? Lin Yi tried to call Jiao Lao's name again, but there was still silence. Lin Yi jumped and tried to enter the jade space. After all, he was losing too much energy. Lin Yi wanted to enter the jade space to replenish his lost energy, but he realized that he had lost contact with the jade space. This was something that Lin Yi had never seen before. It shocked Lin Yi. At this moment, it was as if the jade space had closed, and Lin Yi couldn't enter it like usual anymore. However, the energy in Lin Yi's body was still flowing at an unbelievable speed. In the blink of an eye, there was only 50% left, then 40%, 30%. Soon, there was only 10% left in Lin Yi's body, but the stone door in front of him didn't move at all. Could it be that he didn't have basic mastery? Or could it be that the stone tablet said basic mastery didn't mean that he had completed the first stage of the art of dragon mastery? As he was thinking, the last bit of energy in Lin Yi's body flowed into the stone door, but there was still no sign of the stone door opening. This made Lin Yi very depressed. He had waited for 10 years, and in exchange for such an inexplicable result. Not only did the stone door not open, there was no qi in his body at all, and the jade space was inexplicably ineffective. Wasn't this a scam? Could it be that the cave itself was a scam? First let me cultivate, and then take back the qi in my body? Or was there another purpose? If it was any other time, the qi in Lin Yi's body would be gone, and Lin Yi wouldn't have any worries. With the jade space as a cheat, if he wanted to recover, it would only take a night. But now, Lin Yi's jade actually didn't work, and this made him want to cry but have no tears. Just when Lin Yi wanted to let go of his hand and carefully check if the jade space could still be used, Lin Yi found that his hand seemed to be glued to the stone door, and he couldn't move it at all. Lin Yi subconsciously used his left palm to support the stone door, and wanted to move his right palm, but unfortunately, his left palm was also sucked to the stone door, and he couldn't move it anymore. However, just as Lin Yi was feeling sad and angry, he suddenly felt a strong qi flow from the stone door, through Lin Yi's palm, back into his body. And this energy seemed to be even purer than Lin Yi's previous all-purpose energy, as if it had been filtered. Of course, all this was not under Lin Yi's control. The energy flow back, just like before, was completely involuntary. Lin Yi could only endure it passively, and the art of dragon mastery in his body had been running at the great completion of the first stage at high speed. Finally, all the energy that had been lost before returned to Lin Yi's body, and Lin Yi's strength also returned to its previous state, but the difference was that the energy in Lin Yi's body was purer than before, and this was something that Lin Yi could clearly feel. Just as Lin Yi was excited about his strength returning, the energy in his body flowed again, and continued to flow from Lin Yi's palm into the stone door. This time, although Lin Yi was surprised, he was not as afraid as before. Since he could not stop it, he would wait and see. Sure enough, after all the energy flowed into the stone door, the energy flow back appeared again, and this time, the energy that flowed into Lin Yi's body seemed to be even purer than before. However, Lin Yi was obviously happy too early. The situation this time was different from the previous time. The energy flowed from Lin Yi's left palm into Lin Yi's body, and from Lin Yi's right palm back into the stone door. At this moment, Lin Yi's entire body seemed to have entered a very mysterious state, as if he and the stone door had become one, and the stone door was a part of his body, and the qi was flowing back and forth. So, Lin Yi simply closed his eyes, no longer resisting, and accompanied the stone door, circulating the art of dragon mastery, wanting to see what this stone door was going to do. The energy in the stone door and Lin Yi's body did not know how many times, until Lin Yi was tired of counting. Only then did Lin Yi suddenly realize that this time, the speed at which the qi was drained from his right palm was slowly slowing down, obviously slower than the absorption of the left palm. Gradually, the absorption rate of the left palm also slowed down. This was not surprising to Lin Yi, as the loss of the qi was slower, the absorption would naturally be slower, but he did not know whether this situation represented a good or bad thing. Immediately after that, Lin Yi could clearly feel the loss and absorption of the energy become slower and slower, until finally, it stopped. And the moment it stopped, the stone door also let out a loud boom, and Lin Yi instinctively bounced to the side. Accompanied by the sound of the stone door, the second stone door, like the stone door at the entrance, slowly rose up. The corner of Lin Yi's mouth couldn't help but show a trace of a smile. Chapter 3394. Yes. Lin Yi was touched. Although old Lin was sometimes unreliable, he cared about Lin Yi a lot. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stayed up in the middle of the night to wait for Lin Yi's return. You found something? Old Lin's face showed a trace of a smile, and his tense heart also relaxed. It's all here. Lin Yi waved the wooden box in his hand, and his heart was filled with emotions. While Lin Yi was pleasantly surprised, he was also a little disappointed. 10 years of anticipation in exchange for a small square box. This was the only thing in the entire stone room, but it was incomparably precious. It must contain the mantra for the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. I should also go rest. Old Lin stood up with a yawn, and staggered towards his room. Looking at old Lin's back as he left, Lin Yi secretly sighed. Old Lin sometimes deliberately made things difficult for him, but he was also sincerely concerned about Lin Yi. He just didn't show it. In this aspect, he was somewhat similar to the Miss, but old Lin and the Miss had completely different personalities. Thinking of this, a strong sense of kinship surged in Lin Yi's heart. All this while, Lin Yi had called Old Man Lin Old Man, and it didn't seem like he was being respectful, but in Lin Yi's heart, he had always treated Old Man Lin as his master and grandfather. He seemed to be indifferent to Lin Yi, but he was very thoughtful about many things. After waiting for old Lin to enter his own room, Lin Yi then moved back to his room. Placing the small wooden box on the table, Lin Yi took a deep breath. Before this, Lin Yi was already a little impatient. Now that he was home, it was unexpectedly calm. Little Lin, are you very happy and excited? Jiao Lao's voice slowly sounded in Lin Yi's ear. Jiao Lao, don't make fun of me. Of course, I'm very happy and excited. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. This has been my dream for 10 years, and it has finally come true. Haha, what are your thoughts? Jiao Lao asked jokingly. Speaking of feelings, it's actually a little different from what I expected. Lin Yi said honestly, I originally thought that there would be more benefits behind the second stone door. I didn't expect that what I got in the end was still a small box. If it weren't for the fact that time was of the essence, I really wouldn't have given up. I really want to turn that stone room upside down. Humph. Fortunately, I reminded you. Otherwise, When the stone door closes, you might not be able to see the light of day again. Jiao Laro was somewhat disdainful of Lin Yi's greed. Moreover, it's obvious what's in that stone room. According to my memory, there's only this small box in the second stone door. That's good. Lin Yi immediately heaved a sigh of relief. I hope that I can cultivate the second layer of the heart cultivation method to the full circle as soon as possible so that I can open the third stone door. Now, I'm full of anticipation for the third stone door. Hey, that's not right. Since the third stone door can be opened at any time, doesn't that mean that the 5-year promise is invalid? Even if the stone door closes, won't I be able to leave at any time? It's easy for you to think about it. What's the condition to open the third stone door? Jiao Laro asked in return. The second layer of the full circle. Lin Yi was stunned for a moment before he suddenly reacted. In other words, I can only open the stone door when I'm at the second layer of the full circle. Naturally, it's written clearly on the stone tablet. Jiao Laro said. Doesn't that mean that the first stone door also has the effect of testing one's strength? Lin Yi asked in surprise. What do you think? Jiao Laro blinked his eyes and asked in return. In fact, he didn't know who designed these intricate mechanisms and how they were designed. His memory hadn't recovered yet and it was only a virtual image. He couldn't answer for things that exceeded the scope of the second layer of his memory. I think so. In other words, if I'm locked in the stone door, I can only cultivate the second layer of the heart cultivation method to the full circle before I can leave. Lin Yi asked. That's impossible. If you're trapped inside, you'll probably have to wait for 5 years. Jiao Yazi denied flatly. Oh, why is that so? Lin Yi was slightly stunned and then asked. Wait until you see the heart cultivation method in the wooden box. You'll understand. Jiao Yazi laughed. Since Jiao Yazi kept him in suspense, Lin Yi didn't ask anymore. It seemed like he could find the answer in the wooden box. Lin Yi slowly opened the small wooden box. This time, he didn't encounter any obstacles. Thinking about it, after passing the test of the stone door, the person who built the cave had achieved his goal and tested out Lin Yi's strength. Therefore, he wouldn't put any obstacles on the small wooden box. The wooden box was opened, but there wasn't the heaven-defying artifact that Lin Yi had imagined. Originally, Lin Yi was still hoping to find something similar to a jade pendant in the small box, but there was nothing inside. In the wooden box, there were 3 neatly folded silk scrolls. This made Lin Yi's eyes light up. Previously, in the first wooden box, there was only 1 silk scroll, but in the wooden box in the second stone door, there were 3 silk scrolls. Could it be that this was the heart cultivation method from the second to the 4th level of the art of dragon mastery? If there was the heart cultivation method for the last 3 levels, then Lin Yi was simply too happy. This time, he had really made a big profit. After calming down his excitement, Lin Yi picked up the first silk scroll and opened it carefully, for fear of damaging the silk scroll. The art of dragon mastery, the 5 words written in seal script, leaped into Lin Yi's eyes. The same words, Lin Yi had seen on the silk scroll of the first level of the art of dragon mastery. Seeing it again after 10 years, made Lin Yi's blood boil and excited. The previous silk scroll had been treasured by Lin Yi. Lin Yi had read the heart cultivation method mnemonic incantation thousands of times and had already memorized it. Therefore, seeing this kind of heart cultivation method mnemonic incantation again, Lin Yi naturally felt this way. Under the title of this heart cultivation method, there was a small line of words, written on it, second level, white crane. However, what was different from the first level of the heart cultivation method was that behind the small title was not the main text, but a line of annotations. This line of annotations was very eye-catching, the font was even bigger than the small title. Lin Yi didn't dare to neglect it and hurriedly read it carefully. Chapter 3395. Lin Yi also felt that it was too much of a coincidence that old Lin's move had sent him to the bottom of West Star Mountain and to the front of the cave. Moreover, when he first came back and showed the jade pendant in the box to old Lin showed a very surprised expression. When he showed the small box to old Lin, he didn't seem that surprised, as if he already knew about it. But when he saw the jade pendant, he was very surprised. At that time, Lin Yi couldn't guess the meaning behind his expression, but now, when he thought about it again, he could more or less guess it. The only possibility was that old Lin already knew about the cave, and knew that there was a small box in the cave, and that the box contained the art of dragon mastery. Otherwise, old Lin wouldn't have concocted the body-tempering medicine for him before this. But the existence of the jade pendant seemed to be out of old Lin's expectations. Come to think of it, old Lin should know about the jade pendant, but he was surprised that it was in the box too. This meant that the jade pendant should be a very important treasure, but old Lin didn't say anything, and Lin Yi knew that it was useless to ask. But if old Lin wanted to say it, just like now, he directly said it. I know. Old Lin said, that old friend of mine told me about this. The fortune teller? Lin Yi asked. Yes, that's him. Old Lin nodded. Can you be more specific? Lin Yi frowned. I feel that there are many things I don't know, including the sudden departure of Master. You must know about it. No, I will tell you when it's time. Old Lin's expression was normal, but his words were resolute. All right, then let's continue researching the prescription. Lin Yi knew old Lin's personality, and so he didn't say anything more. He directly passed the recipe to old Lin, saying, you can get most of the common ingredients in here, you have a lot of them in your herb garden. In the Valley West, old Lin had his own herb garden, and there were many precious herbs planted there. Most of the herbs on this prescription could be found, but there were a few that Lin Yi hadn't even heard of. Grain grass, resting fruit, horsetail bamboo. Old Lin muttered to himself. Then, he shook his head and said, I've never heard of it either. Let's look it up in the medicine encyclopedia. Maybe it's in one of the ancient books. You still want to investigate? Lin Yi couldn't help but feel bitter after hearing this. Xiao Xiao's fire spirit fruit was already a lot of effort, and he only found a little bit of information. Now that he had lost 3 ingredients, how long would it take? It shouldn't be too hard to find. I don't think it's a heaven-defying treasure like the fire spirit's fruit. It's just rare. Maybe there are other names for it. Let's look around. Old Lin stood up and walked towards the study. Lin Yi, on the other hand, could only follow old Lin into the study. There were many books in old Lin's library, but there were scanned copies in Lin Yi's computer. Lin Yi browsed through the books on the computer while old Lin browsed through the bookshelves. Old Lin wasn't used to using a computer, but the two of them didn't have any conflicts. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Old Man Lin was right about these 3 herbs. They were all extremely rare herbs. Striped grass and horsetail bamboo had other common names, and they were all grown in Old Man Lin's herb garden. As for the resting fruit, it was nowhere to be found. Old Lin could only ask a few suppliers, but there were no results. Lin Yi had Fatty Lai look for it as well, but even with Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company's channels, there was no news of the resting fruit. It seemed like this ingredient was quite rare. Can we not put this ingredient in? Lin Yi asked with a frown, but shook his head after asking, I don't think so. The resting fruit is part of the recipe, it's used to suppress the fire and focus the mind, it's a must. With Lin Yi's medical skills, naturally, he could understand the effects of the ingredients in the recipe. Even if he couldn't write the recipe, he could at least look at it and understand it. Why are you still asking when you already know? Old Lin shrugged and said, there's nothing I can do. I couldn't find the common name of the resting fruit in the information. I only found some introductions to its medicinal properties and pharmacology. This means that this thing definitely exists, but I don't know where it grows. Yeah, there are many ingredients for calming the fire and calming the spirit. The resting fruit isn't a necessary ingredient. If it was a rare ingredient, it would have been replaced by other ingredients a long time ago. Right, replaced. Lin Yi's eyes lit up as he said that. He slapped his thigh and exclaimed, it can be replaced. Why didn't I think of that earlier? Well, if we're talking about replacing, there are some ingredients with similar properties and pharmacology. Old Man Lin nodded and said, I'll look into the effects of the fruit of peace and find a herb that's similar to it. Don't bother, I only know one. Lin Yi shook his head. It seemed like he and old Lin had walked into a dead end. Changing recipes was his forte. The Golden Creation recipe and the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing recipe were all modified by Lin Yi, and there were no problems with the effects. Lin Yi was very confident in this. In the next few days, Old Lin and Lin Yi started making the body-strengthening medicine. Tang Yun, Meng Yarrow, and Yu Shu knew that Lin Yi was preparing for the next step of his training, so naturally, they wouldn't disturb him. Plus, they hadn't had enough fun yet. Gaodan brought them around the forest every day, and they had a lot of fun. After everything was prepared, Lin Yi prepared the body-strengthening medicine for both internal and external use. Then, he started his solitary meditation. With Old Lin guarding him, it was the safest place for Lin Yi. Old Lin's attack power wasn't any weaker than Gaodan's. Gaodan was a bit stronger, but Old Lin was enough to deal with normal enemies. Plus, Old Lin had a clear advantage over Gaodan, and that was the body of someone who had mastered the Golden Shield. Normal people wouldn't be able to do anything to Old Lin. But Old Lin and Gaodan were the same. Because of the spring, they couldn't leave Star West Village. Chapter 3396. Thinking about this, Tang Yun understood why the Snow Valley had mobilized so many people. But she also thought of something else, that was, Lin Yi's love had moved Elder Qing and Rock Candy. Then, would she be able to move Valley Master Shui and Grand Elder as well? Thinking about this, Tang Yun slowly knelt in front of Grand Elder and Valley Master Shui. Her expression was extremely sincere. I beg you, please save my lover. If he doesn't receive treatment in time, I'm afraid. The highest elder didn't look back. The aura she exuded had a kind of unapproachable momentum. Shui Li followed behind her and left the guest room together. What the Great Elder and Shui Li had cultivated was the Heartless spell, a unique skill of the Snow Valley. What they cultivated was an icy heart. How could they be moved by Tang Yun's kneeling? However, the Heartless spell was only suitable for females to practice. Although Elder Zhong also practiced the Ice Elemental spell, he did not need to practice the Ice Heart. So, he couldn't help but smile bitterly when he saw Shui Li and the Great Elder leaving. He said to Tang Yun, "Little girl, let's go. Don't annoy the Valley Master and the Great Elder, Tang Yun's tears fell down helplessly. At this moment, her heart was filled with grievance and bitterness. Although Tang Yun was born poor, she had her own persistence and pride. When had she ever kneeled to others? But for Lin Yi, she had to lower her head. "Little girl, don't make things difficult for me. If you stay here and the Valley Master and Grand Elder blame me, I will have to bear the consequences," Elder Zhong said. "I'm sorry." Tang Yin wiped away her tears and stood up slowly, determination in her red eyes. "Elder Zhong, please tell the venerated elder and the Valley Headmaster that I'll kneel in front of the Valley's gates. I'd rather freeze to death on this snowy mountain if I don't get the Ice Spirit fruit. Why do you have to do this?" Elder Zhong smiled bitterly and did not know what to say. He knew that the Supreme Elder and Shui Li would definitely watch Tang Yun freeze to death. For those who practiced the Heartless tactics, how could they sympathize with others? Tang Yun bowed deeply to the Grand Elder and didn't say anything else. She left the room and walked out of the snowy valley's walls. "Yun, why are you redoing this?" Meng Yarrow was a little shocked, not expecting Tang Yun to say something this shameless, but remembering that Lin Yi did the same thing when he saved Xiao Xiao, Meng Yarrow knew that Tang Yun was learning from Lin Yi. "I've decided, this is our last chance, we don't have time to go to the Ice Palace anymore," Tang Yun said firmly. Among these people, only Lin Yi had the Ice Palace's contact information. Even Tang Yun's parents didn't have Bingtang's contact information, let alone Old Lin and Mo Kongwen. Mo Kongwen knew the route to the Snow Valley because the Snow Valley was famous for trading and exchanging treasures for money. "But it's very cold here, you're different from Lin Yi. He's a practitioner, and you're not. You'll freeze to death here," Meng Yarrow said subconsciously, a little startled. "I said it, so I'll do it," Tang Yun said firmly as she looked at the unconscious Lin Yi. "I've known him for so long, but I've never done anything for him, man." Meng Yarrow sighed helplessly. It was freezing outside of Snow Valley, and it was beyond their imaginations. Snow Valley and the Ice Palace were in the north and south. According to Snow Valley's location, the weather should be nice, but who would have thought that it would be the exact opposite in this valley? "It's so cold. Shu couldn't take this weather even with Linyi on her back. She felt relaxed when she came out of the room, but after a while, she couldn't take it anymore. Shu had a body that could withstand heat, but not cold. Carrying Linyi on her back was very comfortable, but staying in this environment for a long time would definitely freeze her to death. Yao Yao, Shu, you guys go back to the car, I'll be fine outside, Tang Yun said as she knelt in front of the gate of the Snow Valley. Although this was the territory of the Snow Valley wouldn't do anything to an ordinary person like her. Elder Zhong looked at the scene outside and shook his head helplessly. He didn't think that Tang Yun would really do this, but he was confused. Since Tang Yun was Bingtang's sister, why didn't she contact Bingtang and transfer the money for the fruit to him? Of course, Elder Zhong didn't know that it wasn't that Tang Yun didn't want to, but that she couldn't contact Bingtang. The ancient sects had their own ways of contacting each other, but ancient sects communicated with the common world through letters. Meng Yaro didn't know how to persuade Tang Yun, and she didn't know if she should do it or not. She was thinking, if she was in Tang Yun's shoes, would she do the same? When Meng Yaro heard Tang Yun say, I've known him for so long, but I've never done anything for him, she was thinking, what have I done for him? Every time she was in trouble or danger, it was Linyi who helped her out. No matter how dangerous or difficult it was, he would always be safe. But what have I done for him? Thinking about it carefully, it seemed like nothing. Why don't we take turns kneeling here? Meng Yaro hesitated. No need, that would be insincere. Tang Yun said, Yao Yao, it's fine. My body is more resistant to cold, but you and Shu are different. Leave it to me. You guys just stay in the car and take care of Linyi. Actually, Tang Yun was thinking, if Snow Valley knew that she was Bingtang's sister, would they still let her freeze to death here? If that happened, how would she explain it to Bingtang? Of course, this was also because Tang Yun didn't know that Grand Elder and Sydney practiced the Heartless Arts. If they knew, they wouldn't think like this. The so-called Heartless Arts naturally wouldn't be moved by Tang Yun's actions. As for her identity as Bingtang's sister, Grand Elder and Sydney didn't really believe it. After all, Bingtang didn't tell them about it, nor did she mention it. What else could Meng Yaro say after Tang Yun said so? She could only go back to the car with Shu. After all, it was too cold outside. Meng Yaro was shivering from the cold. She couldn't imagine how Tang Yun's thin body could withstand the cold wind and snow. Chapter 3397. Have we done anything wrong to you? You'll understand after you hear what I have to say, Jian Wen said. Meng Yaro turned around and walked towards the living room. Yu Shu was looking at Jian Wen up and down weirdly, giving Jian Wen a creepy feeling. Was this girl trying to trick him again? Jian Wen had been tricked many times already. Actually, Yu Shu wasn't trying to trick him. She was just guessing if this guy was really innocent or not. Alright, what do you want to say? Meng Yaro said to Jian Wen. Yao Yao, maybe you think that Uncle Chu went bankrupt and committed suicide because of our own family. But, how can we be innocent? My father was even scolded by Grandpa for lending Uncle Chu money. Jian Wen smiled bitterly. If it wasn't for Grandpa's love for me, this villa of yours would have been confiscated. The assets are all under your name. What else do you want? Meng Yaro asked. Uncle Chu's assets and Pengzhan Corporation's shares are indeed in our own family's hands, but Yao Yao, have you ever thought about the 3 billion that my father lent to your father? Do you think that the total value of Pengzhan Corporation's shares and these properties is around 3 billion? Even if it's more than 3 billion, we're using cash to buy back the assets and shares. This is a huge loss, Jian Wen explained. After all, the assets aren't money, they're shares. The business won't recover even if it's not managed. But now that we don't have the 3 billion, even the operations of our business are affected. Overall, we're the victims. You're saying that the 3 billion you lent to my father was lost as well? Didn't it go into your pockets? Meng Yaro naturally didn't believe Jian Wen. Yao Yao, to be honest, it was my father who dragged Uncle Chu into this project. Maybe that's why you misunderstood, Jian Wen said. But later on, my father kept telling Uncle Chu to stop, but Uncle Chu acted like he was possessed. He wouldn't listen no matter what my father said. My father couldn't reject him because he was an old friend, So he took the risk and lent him the money. Dad's in the hospital, unconscious. How am I supposed to believe you? Meng Yaro wasn't moved at all. Man, I knew you wouldn't believe me. Jian Wen shook his head helplessly. But it's fine, Yaro Yao. Our company's phones all have voice recordings. If you really don't believe me, I'll get someone to pull out the voice recording and listen to it yourself. There's a recording? Really? Meng Yaro wasn't so sure anymore after hearing Jian Wen's words. Could it be that her father really wasn't going to listen to her? Her father seemed to be crazy when she called him, and he didn't seem to care when Forbert tried to talk him out of it. Our family's company is different from your father's. There are 3 people in charge, my grandpa, my uncle, and my father. So sometimes, when something goes wrong, we have to look into the person responsible. Who was the one who made the decision? In order to prevent people from denying it, there's no evidence. Jian Wen was obviously bullshitting. In Housen's business, other than old elder An and Mingyu, Jian Wen even had a lot of power. What's the point? Jian Wen was obviously bullshitting. Then, can you get it for me? Meng Yaro hesitated. It wasn't polite to ask for someone else's company's voice recording, but she didn't believe that Jian Wen really had a voice recording. She had to confirm it herself. All right, I'll tell my father now. Jian Wen didn't push it away. He took out his phone and called An Mingyu. After An Mingyu's call, Meng Yaro wasn't sure herself anymore. Could it be that Housen was innocent? Otherwise, why would Jian Wen be so confident? Of course, as suspicious as Housen was, there was still the possibility that they were innocent. Then why did they lose all their money after making money? Meng Yaro asked. Man, it wasn't supposed to be a loss, but I don't know why Uncle Chu pulled out $1 billion all of a sudden, disrupting the entire operation. Not only did we not get the $1 billion back, but we lost everything. Jian Wen said regretfully with a shrug. What? Is it because of the withdrawal of investment? That's why you lost it? Meng Yaro froze. She didn't think that the reason for her father's bankruptcy was because of him pulling out his investment. Although Jian Wen's words couldn't be trusted, Meng Yaro still blamed herself. Was it because of her? If she didn't call her father to ask for $1 billion, would her father pull out his investment? Was he the one who caused all of this? Forbert didn't want Meng Yaro to be sad, so he didn't mention this. Forbert was sure that it was Housen's doing, and that the investment loss was just an excuse. But Jian Wen wanted Meng Yaro to hate Lin Yi, so he said it on purpose. Yeah, it's a taboo for a financial speculator like this to pull out his investment. It messes up the original plan. Is that so? Meng Yaro lowered her head, feeling down. Jian Wen was a little disappointed that Meng Yaro didn't blame him, but he couldn't say anything more. Meng Yaro would get suspicious if he did, and Meng Yaro wasn't an idiot. Jian Wen had spent so much effort to make Meng Yaro half believe him, and naturally, he wouldn't ruin the good situation. Soon, Jian Wen's phone received a couple of messages. He opened it up and said to Meng Yaro, "They're here, I'll play it for you." Okay. Meng Yaro nodded without hesitation. Pengzhan bro, why are you calling again? Didn't we just talk? I've sent the current profits to your inbox, see if you've received it. Jian Wen's phone started to play the recording of the phone call slowly. In the beginning, it was just a normal conversation, but Meng Yao's face started to change as the conversation went on. Chapter 3398. The fourth reagent had been injected, and now Xiaochun had to inject them with the first and second reagents. In order to attract Lin Yi's attention, Xiaochun purposely drove around House Tang's hotel and said to the hypnotist, "We can start now." Xiao Chun had practiced this action many times before coming here. Xiao Chun skillfully injected the potion into the 3 biohumans in front of her, and then the hypnotist began to hypnotize them. Meanwhile, Xiao Chun drove to the antique shop. The timing was just right. In fact, when Xiaochun drove around the hotel, Lin Yi noticed it. This made Lin Yi a little puzzled. What was he trying to do? Provoke him? Could it be that Jian Wen knew that he was staying in the hotel, and purposely told him that he was going to rob the hotel? Or was he thinking too much? Was he just here to take a look, and wanted to rob the hotel after robbing the antique shop? Of course, the second possibility was more likely, but no matter what, Lin Yi rushed to the antique shop with House Tang as soon as possible. Tang Taizhong admired Yushu very much. She said that she was going to rob the antique shop today, and she really came. When the van arrived at the antique shop, they saw that Lin Yi was already waiting for them at the entrance. There were no other customers around, and evidently, the place had been cleared by House Tang to prevent people who didn't know the truth from causing a commotion. Xiaochun stopped the van, and he didn't know why, but his heart was beating very fast. His goal was to bring people to fight Lin Yi, but now that Lin Yi was waiting for him, he couldn't feel happy at all. He felt that something bad was going to happen. "Hypnotist, how is it? Is it done?" Xiaochun asked. "No problem, I order them to get out of the van and carry out the mission." The hypnotist nodded, and then gave the order to the 5 biohumans. The 3 biohumans got out of the van one by one, and they surrounded Lin Yi. This time, their order was to surround and attack Lin Yi. No matter who interfered, they would ignore them and focus solely on attacking Lin Yi. Lin Yi frowned slightly. He also felt that something was amiss. There was someone else in the van at the moment. Did this person not know that he was the one who killed the biohuman yesterday? Why did he bring 3 of them today? Did he really think that these 3 biohumans were a match for him? All 6 of them died yesterday. You think you're amazing just because you've lost half of it. There seemed to be something strange about this. Since he couldn't figure it out, Lin Yi didn't think too much about it. He adopted yesterday's strategy and defeated them one by one. Flaming Fist 10th move. Lin Yi attacked Cyborg 1, who was the closest to him. Boom. The fist landed on the cyborg's body. Not to be outdone, the cyborg also attacked. He also threw a punch at Lin Yi's fist. It was a head-on attack. This wasn't what Lin Yi had imagined. The cyborg's fist made Lin Yi's blood boil in his chest. It was a huge amount of strength. The huge force pushed Lin Yi back, and he fell to the ground. Blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. Heaven late stage. This cyborg actually had the offensive power of a Heaven late stage expert. It looked like a normal punch, but it contained such explosive power. Lin Yi didn't expect it at all, and he was hit by it, suffering a serious internal injury in an instant. However, this wasn't the end of it. After the cyborg exchanged blows with Lin Yi, he was sent flying. He was sent flying as well, spitting out a mouthful of blood. It looked even more serious than Lin Yi's, but he was able to get up quickly. There was a dent in his chest, but it didn't seem to affect him at all. Even his speed didn't decrease as he ran towards Lin Yi again. Lin Yi was shocked. This was indeed unusual. The 5 cyborgs today were completely different from yesterday's. Not only did they have high attack power, but their resistance was also stronger. Lin Yi's Flaming Fist 10th move actually didn't do anything to the cyborg in front of him. Lin Yi originally wanted to use the art of dragon mastery to heal the injuries in his body, but he didn't have the chance. Before the cyborg could run over, the other 2 cyborgs had already reached Lin Yi. One on the left and one on the right, they suddenly punched at Lin Yi. Lin Yi was shocked. He quickly used the butterfly subtle steps to dodge the attacks of the 2 cyborgs. After all, the intelligence of these 2 cyborgs didn't seem to be very high. Their mobility was also restricted, and they weren't very agile. That was why Lin Yi was able to quickly get up from the ground and dodge the attacks. However, there was a saying that was true. One couldn't dodge the first attack, but one couldn't dodge the next. Lin Yi had just dodged the attacks of the cyborgs when the first cyborg had already arrived behind Lin Yi. He suddenly punched at Lin Yi and directly smashed Lin Yi. Fortunately, the jade pendant had already given a strong warning at this moment, so the cyborg's sneak attack didn't reach its maximum effect. Lin Yi had already used his vital energy to protect his body. Although his previous injuries had worsened, at least it wasn't worse. Go to hell. Lin Yi turned around and smashed the 11th move of the Flaming 8 Trigram's palm. Initially, Lin Yi didn't want to use this move. However, the cyborgs in front of him were too strong. So, Lin Yi had no choice but to use his strongest move. Boom. Cyborg 1 and Lin Yi exchanged blows. Because Lin Yi had attacked with all his strength, he didn't reserve too much of his vital energy to protect his body. Therefore, the damage to Lin Yi was quite great. As the cyborgs flew backward, Lin Yi also flew backward under the impact of the huge recoil and crashed to the ground. This time, under the great power of the 11th move of the flaming 8 trigrams palm, Cyborg 1 was smashed into pieces. His entire body was turned into pieces, and it was impossible for him to survive. However, Lin Yi's physical strength had been severely depleted, and he had also suffered very serious internal injuries. However, Lin Yi knew that he couldn't afford to be careless. There were still 2 cyborgs attacking him from behind. In the van, the hypnotist stared coldly at the scene outside the van and said calmly, "It seems that this Lin Yi still has some tricks up his sleeve. However, he is now at the end of his rope." "That's true. I hope that these 2 cyborgs can kill Lin Yi." Xiao Chun nodded, but she still didn't feel at ease. Lin Yi used the killer's ultimate skill, butterfly microsteps, and avoided the attacks of the 2 cyborgs. However, Lin Yi knew that this was not a solution at all. If he continued to dodge like this, he would make a mistake sooner or later.